Noted. Does any member wish to give a notice of a motion? Not a motion without notice, a notice of a motion. Honorable Smith.
Thank you very much, Honourable House Chair. On behalf of the Democratic Alliance, I hereby wish to move with notice that this House notes that it has been reported that another 3 illegal Chinese fishing trawlers have been impounded in South African ports. The vessel Luyang Yan Yu 186, and my apology for the Mandarin Chinese, I'm not that good in that, was charged with entering the South Africa's exclusive economic zone without the required permit and disobeying lawful instructions by a fishery control inspector. The vessel was part of a fleet of 9 Chinese vessels that invaded South African maritime authorities after switching off their automatic identification system or AIS trackers. While we welcome the Department of Forestry and Fisheries as well as South African Navy's speedy response, the House notes with concern the current red tape hindering our local fishing industry. This House debates the legislative constraints and red tape of the current permit system for local fishing industry. I so move. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Mutada.
Thank you, Chair. I hereby give notice that in the next sitting of Council, I shall move that Council notes and debates the fact that the rating agency Moody's has given the city of Ekurhuleni one of the highest investment grade rating that any city can receive. Further notes that Moody's has allocated the city a national scale rating of AAA, a 4-notch upgrade from a previous rating, and this upgrade affirmed a prudent management of finances by the city. Further notes that Moody's also raised the city of Johannesburg's global sale ratings from Baa3 to Baa2, the highest possible rating that can currently be achieved by institutions with the best credit quality in South Africa, and acknowledges that Moody's rating of the city of Ekurhuleni and Johannesburg rebutes the DA's misguided assertion that only good governance and the delivery of services to communities happens only in places where the DA governs, and takes this opportunity to congratulate the political leadership, staff, and management of the cities of Ekurhuleni and Johannesburg for their outstanding performance and for putting South Africa at par with other globally well-run municipalities across the world. I so move.
Thank you. Honorable Tere Blanche. Honorable Tere Blanche. Eh? Oh, it's Honorable Ntebe. Okay, Honorable Ntebe.
Honorable Tere Blanche was disturbing. Oh, Chair, thank you, Chair. I hereby give notice on behalf of the ANC that in the next sitting of the Council, we note and debate the safety of cyclists in our roads who continue to face death and harassment from people with utter disregard of road safety and our national efforts to use bicycles. Further notes the death of another cyclist who was killed in a hit-and-run incident in Loris Pass in Gordons Bay in Cape Town. And take this opportunity to call on motorists to show regard for the safety of cyclists and encourage cyclists to be more vigilant and cautious when using public roads. I so move. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Hattin.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. In view of the developments at the Constitutional Court with the IEC, on behalf of the I hereby wish to move without notice that,
Notice of a motion now.
yes, this is a notice of a motion. That to move that the House debates the IEC's ability to effectively prepare for free and fair elections. Thank you, Chair. I so move.
Thank you. Honorable Mtetwa.
On behalf of the African National Congress, Umbutho Wabantu, I hereby give notice that in the next sitting of the Council, I shall move the Council note and debate the futile attempts by the DAMPs in the National Assembly to sabotage the passing of the budget by brazenly including in silly political tactics, including repeated workout and filibustering. Further notes that if the DA had its way in Parliament, our government would not be able to provide monthly support to the existing 16 million poor social grant beneficiaries, provide shelter to the homeless, electrify and connect water for households, and extend decent health and education to millions of poor people, and acknowledge that this is the sort of destructive opposition which serves narrow political interests that are intended to plunge South Africa into dispute and crisis. I so moved.
Thank you. Honorable Julius. Why are you standing?
Chairperson, I've noticed it for the second time. Is that notice of a motion or motion without notice? I think we need to be
Notice of
clear
a motion.
on that.
Honorable Isaac. It's notice of a motion now.
Can I go ahead, Chairperson? Chairperson, yes, thank you for the opportunity. On behalf of the Democratic Alliance, I hereby wish to move a notice that this House debates the South Africa's Public Investment Corporations, Africa's largest pension fund manager, its responsibility towards pension holders, and whether it has the ability to use investments to bolster employment in this country. I so move.
Thank you. Honorable DPR.
Honourable Chairperson, on behalf of the ANC, I give notice that in the next sitting of the Council, I shall move that the Council notes and debates the practice of reckless lending. Notes that despite being outlawed, reckless lending continues unabated, so much so that the National Consumer Tribunal has received double the number of complaints from 9,589 cases in the 2014-15 financial year, and in the 2015-16 financial year, this figure rocketed to 19,097. Further notes that over a 3-year period, the NCT caseload has almost quadrupled as credit providers continue to show utter disregard of the National Credit Act and other mechanisms that are in place to protect consumers. I so move.
Thank you. Does any member wish to move a motion without notice? Honorable Labuschachen.
Thank you very much, Chair. Motion without a notice. On behalf of the Democratic Alliance, I hereby wish to move without notice that Parliament notes that the cost of the food alone at any ordinary sitting of a select committee is around 1,500 rand per meeting. This is more than the entire monthly salary of a South African citizen receiving the minimum wage. An entire family living on the minimum wage is expected to live for an entire month on the same amount of money that is being used to feed committees of 12 people in the NCOP per day. This is unacceptable, and Parliament therefore re-emphasises that a Parliament of the people does not behave in this manner. This House stands united in our position that the people's interest comes first and therefore undertakes to suspend such unnecessary expenses until poverty nationwide has sufficiently been eradicated. I so move.
Is there any objection to the motion? In light of the objection, the motion may not be proceeded with. The motion without notice will now become notice of a motion. Honorable Mpambo Sipugwana.
Thank you, Chair. On behalf of the Democratic Alliance, I hereby wish to move without notice that the Council notes that the National Prosecuting Authority has dropped the sexual harassment case against ANC Western Cape leader, Marius Fransman. It was reported that Ms. Louisa Wynand was allegedly forced to sleep next to Fransman in Kimberley while they were staying at a hotel, and that he had allegedly, can I be protected, Chairperson? And he
Order,
had allegedly
members.
touched her while two others were seated in
Order,
the back
members.
of the vehicle. It is unacceptable that Ms. Wynand was notified via WhatsApp that the case has been dropped. Ms. Wynand has indicated that her life and that of her family has been greatly affected by the incident. This House moves to urge the NPA to reconsider instituting proceedings so that Ms. Wynand has a fair opportunity to convey her case to a court of law. I so move, Chairperson.
Is there any objection? In light of the objection, the motion may not be proceeded with. The motion without notice will now become notice of a motion. Honorable Zwane.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, Chairperson. On behalf of the African National Congress, I wish to move without notice that Council 1 notes that South African Athletics Golden Boy and World 400-meter champion Wade van Niekerk has donated 500,000 rand to Grooteskier Hospital neonatal unit. Secondly, Council further notes that Van Niekerk announced the donation on Monday, the 23rd May, at an event where he was introduced as a brand ambassador for IT firm T-Systems. Thirdly, Council notes that the 23-year-old athlete was awarded 500,000 and a Mercedes-Benz C-Class after he was named the Sportsman of the Year and claimed the People's Choice accolade at the South African Sports Award. And finally, Council takes this opportunity to congratulate Wade van Niekerk for his magnanimous gesture of goodwill. Also move.
Is there any objection to the motion? The motion is agreed to in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. Honorable Mikalakis.
No. What side on?
Honorable Mikalakis.
House Chairperson. Thank you, Honourable House Chairperson. On behalf of the Democratic Alliance, I hereby wish to move without notice that Council notes that the Minister of Defence, Nosiviwe Mapisa-Ngakula, has admitted to smuggling an illegal foreign national and friend of hers with questionable documentation into our country. Notes that the Minister has done so using an aircraft of the South African Air Force, which is already under strain in terms of resources. Notes that although the Minister has tried to justify her actions, she seems to have conveniently ignored the fact that she has deliberately broken the law by contravening the Immigration Act as well as the Executive Code of Ethics. Notes that by contravening the above-mentioned act, the Minister has committed a criminal offence and has caused serious questions to be raised about the safety of our country, for which she is in part responsible. While we emphasize with Ms. Wege's personal circumstances and so many others who are subject to domestic violence, nothing can justify a minister breaking the law, and she should have used other methods of recourse. This House calls on the President of the Republic to dismiss the Minister of Defence with immediate effect. I so move.
Order. Is there any objection? Yes. In light of the objection, the motion may not be proceeded with. The motion without notice will now become notice of a motion. Honorable Pakis.
I hereby move without notice that the council knows and welcomes the retirement of the Deputy Chief Justice Dikgang Moseneke for his service in the Constitutional Court of the Republic of South Africa. Further knows that the Deputy Chief Justice Dikgang Moseneke stepped down from the second most powerful position in the judiciary last week after joining the Constitutional Court in 2002, expresses his profound appreciation for his lifelong and selfless commitment to the cause of the struggle for liberation and upholding the Constitution, takes this opportunity to pay tribute to him for his accomplished and impeccable career and wish him well in his retirement, and wish the acting Deputy Chief Justice Ngabinde all the best in his new responsibility.
Thank you. Is there any objection to the motion? The motion is agreed to in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. Honorable Wana. Honorable Wana.
Sorry, Chairperson. Sorry, Chairperson. Ndiyabulela mhlali ngaphambili ndithunywa ngumbutho omkhulu ukhongolose ubanjwa lento. Motion without a notice. I hereby note without notice to the council to welcome the commitment and the pledge that has been done by political parties towards the elections which will take place on the 3rd of August 2016. Secondly, the further note that these local elections that take place in a global context of the escalation of poverty, unemployment, and inequality. Thirdly, calls of all political parties to distance themselves by using inflammatory languages and other forms of hate speech during the campaign in order to allow for free exchange of ideas with the voters. Lastly, further call to the IEC and other law enforcement agencies to take requisite steps to ensure exercise of the right to vote by voters in areas plagued by violence and instability. I so move.
Is there any objection to the motion? In light of the objection, the motion may not be proceeded with. The motion without notice will now become notice of a motion. Honorable Julius.
Thank you, Chairperson. I just wish the ANC could return our posters and then everything will be free and fair for the elections. But Chairperson, thank you, House Chair. On behalf of the Democratic Alliance, I hereby wish to move without notice that the Council note the Western Cape High Court's dismissal of the SABC and Claudia Motsoeneng's application for leave to appeal the decision setting aside Mr. Motsoeneng's permanent appointment as SABC COO is a victory for all who value our constitutional democracy and an independent public broadcaster. Knowing the public protector's findings that Mr. Motsoeneng lied about his qualifications, abused his power by increasing his own salary from 1.5 million rand to 2.4 million rand, purging senior staff members, irregularly increased salaries of some staff members, Minister Mutambi still went ahead and permanently appointed a man who was clearly not suitable for the job. The appeal process, Chairperson, is a waste of taxpayers' money. The SABC and Minister Mutambi must adhere to the rule of law and fire Mr. Motsoeneng immediately. I so move.
Is there any objection to the motion? In light of the objection, the motion may not be proceeded with. The motion without notice will now become notice of a motion. Honorable Zwane. Okay. Honorable Manopole.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I hereby motion without notice. On behalf of the ANC, I hereby move without notice that the council knows that 2015-2016 PSL Championship title was won by the Mamelodi Sundowns PSL on Saturday, which marks the 7th time of the championship. They recorded 71 points, breaking seasons in style. Therefore, would like to congratulate Bafana Bastyle Kabuyelo under the leadership of Pitso Musimani and say to the chairperson of the club, Mr. Patrice Motsipe, by investing and having the confidence of the club and invested the money in the football, it's well invested. Further move that, wish them good luck in future endeavors. I so move.
Is there any objection to the motion? In light of the objection, the motion may not be proceeded with. The motion without notice will now become notice of a motion. Honorable Mr. Shuping.
No, thanks, Honorable Chairperson. On behalf of the glorious movement of the people, the African National Congress, I hereby move without notice that Council notes with utmost pride the partnership in action between government, business, and labor that seeks to explore the practical means. Can I be protected?
Order, members.
In general, regarding South Africa's interests, financial status from being relegated to a junk status by the agencies. Number two, believes that the promotion of the financial well-being of a country requires the concerted effort of all sectors of society across sectoral and partisan political interests. Number three, further believes that the current global economic slowdown requires this kind of patriotism and unity in action. Honorable Isaac. Number four, takes this opportunity to salute the leadership of government, labor, and business on this courageous and patriotic effort, and further call on the political leadership in the country, religious community, and the broader civil society to join hands in salvaging the country from being relegated into a junk status. I so move, Chairperson.
Is there any objection to the motion? In light of the objection, the motion may not be proceeded with. The motion without notice will now become notice of a motion. Honorable Hatting.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. On behalf of the Democratic Alliance, I hereby wish to move without notice that the House notes the shocking findings by the Ministerial Task Team's investigation into the alleged selling of posts by members of teachers, unions, and departmental officials in the provincial education departments. And then I quote from the report, there are many forms of irregular appointments. There are claims and findings of improper influence of many different kinds. And I quote again, the Department of Education is effectively in control of education in only 1/3 of the provinces. That's 3 out of the 9. Now, we move that the Council expresses its shock and dismay about the crisis that our education finds itself in. I thank you, Chair.
Is there any objection to the motion? No. In light of the objection, the motion may not be proceeded with. The motion without notice will now become notice of a motion. Honorable Dlamini.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. On behalf of the glorious movement, the African National Congress, I hereby move without notice that the Council notes with utmost appreciation and honor the indelible mark made by one of the unsung heroes, Mr. Hamilton Nagy, who was a black technician at the University of Cape Town, who performed transplant on animals during the same time Dr. Christian Barnard performed the first heart transplant, was barred from operating on human. Further notes that Mr. Naki, who was born in Ngingane, which is a village in the then Transkei in 1930, was hired by the University of Cape Town to maintain the tennis court, and in 1954, he was promoted to help with the care of laboratory animals, where he soon went on to being one of the 4 technicians at the university and the black laboratory assistant to Barnard. Further notes that under apartheid rule, Mr. Naki was barred from working in the whites-only operating theater, and his contribution in the laboratory were largely unpublicized or acknowledged. And take this opportunity to honor and pay homage to Mr. Naki as one of the unsung heroes of our nation, who made incredible achievement and displayed unsummable resilience to make indelible mark when apartheid paid to recognition of their efforts and achievement. I so moved.
Is there any objection to the motion? The motion is agreed to in terms of section 65 of the Constitution. Honorable Engelbrecht.
Mr. Chair, thank you. On behalf of the Democratic Alliance, I hereby wish to move without notice that the Council notes with great sadness the destruction and burning of municipal buses and the unnecessary loss of several lives in the Skampaneng and Sierman areas of Hammanskraal, Tshwane, when the Red Ants were sent in to remove illegal shacks built on ground given away in exchange for ANC votes. This House therefore conveys its sincere condolences to the respective victims and their families. And we call on the Minister of Human Settlements to urgently investigate this matter and report its findings to this House. I so move.
Is there any objection to the motion? In light of the objection, the motion may not be proceeded with. The motion without notice will now become notice of a motion. The Secretary will read the first order of the day. No, we are not the only one. We still have some 4 hands. So I've given ample time for, and I catered you when we're dealing with notice of motion. Next time. Let the Secretary read the first order of the day.
Policy debate on budget vote number 28, Labour Appropriation Bill, Bill 3 of 2016.
Let me take this opportunity and welcome and extend the invitation to our Minister of Labour, Honorable Oliphant.
Ngiyabonga sihlalo wendlu amalunga lendlu ahloniphekile abaholi bembutho esibambisene nayo umqondisi jikelele kanye nethimba lakhe isivakashi zethu esihloniphekile abasebenzi bonke baseMzantsi Afrika ngiyanibingelela okokuqala sikhalisana nabo bonke abalahlekelwe izihlobo zabo ezingozini ezenzeka ezimayini kanye nakwi construction sector sithi labo abalimele belulame ngokusheshsha. Ngiyabonga kakhulu ukuthola leli thuba lokuma phambi kwenu namhlanje ukuzothula uhlahlo zimali lomnyango wezabasebenzi. Mangisho ukuthi isisekelo salolu hlahlo mali izibopho esazenza siwumbutho kaKhongolose uma siya okhethweni langonyaka ka2009 kanye no2014. Isifundazwe zibalulekile kakhulu ke kithi ngoba ilapho izinto kumele mazenzeke khona. Ingakho ingxenye ethe xaxa kulolu hlahlo mali lubekele ukuthuthukisa izinda zethu esifundazweni ukuze abantu bakithi bafumane usizo ngokusheshsha. Singakhuluma siqephuze kodwa uma abantu bakithi bengawuboni umehluko ezimpilweni zabo angeke kwasiza ngalutho lokho. Washo ke uAmeka Cabral ukuthi abantu abantu akubasizi ngalutho ukuthi silokhu sikhuluma ngezinto ezisemakhanda ethu. Kodwa bona bangabonga uma ngabe bebona umehluko ezimpilweni zabo. Abantu bakithi bafuna ukuthi izimpilo zabo zibe ngcono futhi nekusasa lezingane zabo libe ngeliqhakazile. Uhulumeni kaKhongolose ukwazi kahle kamhlophe lokhu okubekwa ile nkokheli yayilwela inkululeko yalaba babecindezelwa amaPutukezi. Imithetho yabasebenzi ithinta bonke abantu bakuleli, ngisho nomnotho imbala awusoze wasimama ngaphandle kwabasebenzi. Ngivumeleni ngisho ukuthi ngaphandle kwabasebenzi ayikho into engaya phambili. UMzansi Afrika waziwa umhlaba wonke ukuthi unemithetho yabasebenzi esezingeni eliphezulu, futhi cishe ilona kuphela emazweni omhlaba wonke jikelele lapho amalungelo abasebenzi eyingxenye yomthetho sisekelo wezwe. Singakhohlwa-ke futhi ukuthi lawa ngamalungelo abasebenzi abawalwela kukubi eminyakeni yobandlululo. Abanye babehlukunyezwa nemindeni yabo, belala ezintabeni, abanye beboshwa, beshawa, futhi abaningi balahlekelwa ngisho imiphefumulo yabo belwela amalungelo abo. Kuyajabulisa-ke ukuthi kusekhona abafuna ukwacekela phansi lamalungelo ngokuwabeka izici ezingenabufakazi. Ukuhlupheka kwabasebenzi sikwazi kahle kamhlophe thina siwuKhongolose ngoba abaningi bethu babengabasebenzi ngeminyaka yobandlululo. Umzabalazo wabasebenzi akuyona nje into esiyifunda ezincwadini noma emaphephandabeni. Abaningi bethu basenamanxeba angakapholi namhlanje. Umsebenzi wethu omkhulu njengomnyango ukuvikela abasebenzi ukuthi bangaxhashazwa emsebenzini. Imithetho esiyiphakamisayo iyakufakazela lokhu ngale kwamathandabuzo. Kubalulekile ukuthi ngisho ukuthi uma sishaya le mithetho siwuhulumeni kaKhongolose, siyaqinisekisa ukuthi lokho akuthikamezi imizamo yokukhulisa umnotho nalezo zinhlelo zokuvula amathuba emisebenzi. Abanye sihamba nabo siye emhlanganweni enhlangano yabasebenzi yezizwe i-ILO. Sivumelane ngezinto eziningi, kodwa uma befika la ekhaya baqale bahlasele zona kanye lezi zinto ebekuvunyelwene ngazo nabo babeyingxenye yazo eGeneva. Uyadumaza-ke kakhulu-ke lo mkhuba woza kwethu. Sihlalo ohloniphekile namalungu endlu ahloniphekile ebesithe sizokwenza ngonyaka odlule, okuningi sesikwenzile, okunye siphezu kwakho. Osaziwayo emhlabeni wonke jikelele bathi akukaze kwenzeke emlandweni wamazwe ukuthi uhulumeni ophethe acushise izigcibelo zemithetho yabasebenzi eyevile kwemibili iminyaka emibili landelana. Hayi, abawuvala umlomo. Konke lokhu sikwenza ngokomkhombandlela womthetho sisekelo walelizwe, somqulu wenkululeko kanye nemithetho yemigomo yokhetho lukaKhongolose ka-2009 no-2014. Akukho noyedwa kulendlu ongaphika ukuthi lo hulumeni kaKhongolose ukwenzile konke lokhu ngale kwamathandabuzo, futhi nabasebenzi bayakwazi bayakhalalisela lokho. Okungijabulisa kakhulu-ke ukuthi ngisho nabasebenzi basezindlini nasemaplazini imbala nabo sebeyahlomula ngenxa yezinyathelo ezithathwe yilo hulumeni. Sizokhumbula ukuthi imithetho sichibiyelo yakabusha ike yaba indaba egudwini. Kukhona nalaba babeshaya phansi ngonyawo bethi akusoze kwenzeka lokhu, kodwa amathe abuyele kwasifuba ngoba uKhongolose wayishiciyela imithetho. Sonke siyazi-ke ukuthi uma ungaphilanga usuyakwazi ukuthi utshele umqashi ukuthi angeke ukwazi ukuya emsebenzini. Eminyakeni yobandlululo uma ubulovile emsebenzini ngoba ugula wawukhishwa ngesango mhlazane ubuye. Yingakho-ke futhi indaba yokuthi uzohamba uthi yayingekho indaba yokuthi uzohamba uthi uyophumula emva kokusebenza unyaka ucabange ukuthi uzokhokhelwa, kodwa wonke lokhu sekulawulwa imithetho eshawe uKhongolose. Ngisho nabasebenzi besimame sebeyakwazi ukuyobeletha abahlala emakhaya okungenani izinyanga ezine bekhokhelwa. Ngesikhathi sobandlululo abasebenzi babazi kahle kamhlophe ukuthi ukukhulelwa kwakusho ukulahlekelwa umsebenzi. Siyabonga kuhulumeni kaKhongolose abanamehlo bayayibona imisebenzi yakhe emihle. Siyazi-ke ukuthi umbimbi lwabasebenzi amandla ndawonye kanye nenhlangano yezakhamuzi beholwa ukhongolose sebeqede nya ukuxhashazwa kwabasebenzi besikhashana kanye nalabo bezinkontileka zesikhashana. Kubahlonishwa ikomishana yokuxazulula izinkinga zabasebenzi CCMA isinikwe amandla okungenelela ezitelekeni uma kunodlame noma kubonakala ukuthi abaqashi nabasebenzi badinga usizo lokuxazulula ukungaboni ngasolinye. Le komishana isikelwe izigidi ezingamakhulu ayisi-770 amarandi okungu 770 million kulonyaka ukuze iqhubeke nemisebenzi yayo edingwa ngabasebenzi. Kanti umkhandlu kazwelonke wezokuxoxisana iNEDLAC wona usikelwe izigidi ezingama-31 amarandi ukuze ikwazi ukwenza imisebenzi ebekelwe yona. Sesiphinde savula isikhungo ezengeziwe esifundazweni ukuze abasebenzi bafumane usizo ngokushesha. Sesifake nobuxhakaxhaka bemishini kuma-labor centers ethu lapho abasebenzi bezokwazi ukuzenzela abakudingayo ngokwabo ngaphandle kokudinga usizo lomabhalane bomnyango. Kulonyaka sihlose ukuqhubeka nokufaka le mishini kuma-labor centers ayishumi esifundazweni ezahlukene. Le mishini izokwenza kube lula ukuthi abantu abafuna imisebenzi bathole imininingwane komabonakude esizobafaka khona maduze nje. Futhi bayokwazi ukubona ukuthi iziphi izimboni ezinezikhala zemisebenzi nokuthi zifuna abantu abaphethe maphi amakhono. Ngaleyo ndlela bazokwazi ukufaka izicelo zabo zemisebenzi ngaphandle kokufuna usizo komabhalane. Malunga ahloniphekile, umnyango ususungule uhlelo lokuqeqesha abasebenzi kumakhono adingwa umnotho nokuphathwa kwamabhizinisi ukuze bakwazi ukuziphilisa. Lokhu sikwenza ngokubambisana nezikhungo zokufundisa nokuqeqesha abasebenzi kanye nezikole zamakhono, ama-SETAs kanye nama-TVET colleges. Ngoba lolu uhlelo lukazwelonke siyaqinisekisa ukuthi zonke izifundazwe zibe nabantu ezinhlelweni zethu. Sikhuluma nje kunabantu abayikhulu abaqeqeshelwe ukutshuza, ama-scuba divers, abangama-20 abaqeqeshelwa ukushayela amabhanoyi, ama-pilots. Kanti-ke bangaphezulu kwe1,000 abaqeqeshwa emakhonweni okwakha nobunjiniyela obunhlobonhlobo. Kulonyaka ophezulu sinezinhlelo zokuqeqesha okungenani 6,000 emkhakheni yamakhono ahlukahlukene. Nizokhumbula-ke bahlonishwa ukuthi bonke abaqeqeshwayo bathi nje uma beqeda izifundo zabo bangene emsebenzini ngale kokuchitha isikhathi. Leli ngelinye lamaqhaza umnyango owenzayo ukuhlasela ukweselekwa kwemisebenzi. Sibonga-ke i-entity esibiza ngokuthi Unemployment Insurance Fund kanye ne-Compensation Fund okuyibona abasinikeza imali zokwenza wonke lo msebenzi. Bakwethu asisaqeqeshi nje noba imaphi amakhono kodwa sesiqeqesha lawo makhono adingwa umnotho. Futhi la kunesikhala zemisebenzi khona. Sikhuluma nje akukho nesisodwa isifundazwe lapho ingekho into esiyenzayo. Sesiphinde sathatha isinqumo sokusebenzisana nezinhlelo ezifana ne-Expanded Public Works Program lapho sizoqeqesha laba basuke bephuma kulezo zinhlelo ezintweni ezizobanika amakhono adingakalayo emnothweni. Inqobo nje uma kunobufakazi bokuthi bake bathela esikhwameni sokuncephezela abasebenzi. Futhi sisebenza ngokubambisana nomnyango wezamabhizinisi amancane kanye nokuthuthukiswa kwawo. Lolu uhlelo lukazwelonke esizimisele ukuthi luqale kuwona lonyaka ophezulu. Imininingwane izothulwa ekomidini lalendlu elibhekele izindaba zabasebenzi. Lezi nhlelo zokuqeqesha zibekelwe imali eyevile ezigidini ezingama-500 amarandi oku-500 million. Ngenyanga edlule ngibe nethuba lokuyovula isakhiwo sezempilo eVelcom esinemibhede eyi-120 esizosiza abasebenzi abesuke belashwa emva kokulimala noma ukuthola izifo emsebenzini. Lesakhiwo siqale ukusebenza ngenyanga edlule. Sizosiza kakhulu abasebenzi abasuke belimele ukuthi bathole usizo oluseqophelweni eliphezulu ukuze bakwazi ukusimama masishane futhi bakwazi
Honorable
lokubuyela emsebenzini
Minister.
ngokusheshsha.
Sorry, Honorable Minister. Honorable Faber, why are you standing?
Somehow the translation got lost. I was still listening, and like for the last minute, it is just gone. I don't know.
Can you, Honorable Faber? Okay. Try Channel 6. Continue, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Sihlalo. Lesikhungo sizophinde siqeqeshe abasebenzi emakhonweni amasha ukuze bakwazi ukungena kweminye imisebenzi uma ngenxa yokulimala kwabo bengeke besakwazi ukubuyela emsebenzini ebebeyenza. Futhi nathi singumnyango singakwazi ukubathatha ngokwethu abanye babo sibafake ezikhungweni zethu esibhekele abasebenzi abaphila nokukhubazeka okunhlobonhlobo okuyi-supported employment enterprises. Njengamanje simatasatasa senza izichibiyelo zomthetho obhekele izimpilo nokuphepha kwabasebenzi emsebenzini. Lokhu sikwenza ngokuthi sekuyavama ukuthi abasebenzi izinsuku zonke betholakale sebelimele. Sizoqinisa izinhlelo futhi nomthetho uqine. Futhi senza amalungiselelo okuchibiyela umthetho wokunxephezela abasebenzi uma belimala noma bethola izifo ngokwemisebenzi abayenzayo. Ngalo mthetho sichibiyelo sifuna ukufaka nabasebenzi basezindlini nabo basizakale uma bethola ukulimala noma izifo ngenxa yomsebenzi abayenzayo. Lokhu kungubufakazi bokuthi uhulumeni kaKhongolose uyabakhathalela abasebenzi, ikakhulukazi labo abasebenza ezindaweni lapho ukuxhashazwa kwabo kume ngezinyawo. Njengasezindlini nasemaplazini. Injongo yethu-ke sibe sesiwuthulile lo mthetho sichibiyelo kuwona lo nyaka ophezulu. Kanti-ke naso isikhwama sabalimala emsebenzini sikhombisa inqubekela phambili exazululeni izinkinga ebezikhungethe kule minyaka eyedlule. Ngiyafisa ukwazisa lendlu ukuthi singumnyango sike savakashela amaplazi eMpumalanga kanye nala eWestern Cape. Mangisho ukuthi sivumelene nabasebenzi kanye nabaqashi ukuthi kuzofanele sibafundise ngemithetho yezabasebenzi ukuze bayazi kahle amalungelo abo abasebenzi in particular kanye nabaqashi kanye nama-obligations wabo. Ukhomishana omusha wesikhwama umnumzana uMafata usebeke isibopho sokukhokha izinxephezelo kulabo abasuke belimele nokukhokhelwa odokotela nezibhedlela ezisuke zibelapha kungakapheli izinyanga ezimbili befake izicelo zabo. Sonke sishayela ihlombe lesi sinyathelo sikakhomishana. Futhi ngiyafisa ukuthi ukhomishana we-Unemployment Insurance Fund usezinhlelweni zokuthi njengoba sichibiyela umthetho i-Unemployment Insurance Act kuzoba nesikhwama esizobhekelana nezinhlelo ngqo ezizothuthukisa amakhono alaba basuke belahlekelwe umsebenzi. So beholwa umphathi umqondisi womnyango jikelele. Siyabonga iqhaza la wonke ama-officials elwabambile kulomnyango ngoba ukusebenzisana kwethu sisonke siyakwazi ukuthi sithathe izinkinga ezibhekene nabasebenzi siye phambili. Sizoqinisa isandla kakhulu kulabo abaqhubeka nokungayishayi indiva imithetho yabasebenzi. Kodwa labo baqasha abaqhubekayo nokwenza ushintsho olubonakalayo sizoqhubeka nokubakhuthaza. Ondle bekazizwa bona bazohlangana nezimbila zithutha ziholwa emhlophe phambili. Abaholi bethu bazophuma umkhankaso, abahloli bethu bazophuma umkhankaso wokuzingela labo abayiziphulamthetho. Kubekwe isigidi ezingama500 amarandi kulonyaka ukuze bakwazi ukuphakamisa izinga lokugcinwa kwemithetho. Siyabaxwayisa-ke okhanda limtshelo kwakhe ukuthi siyeza futhi ngeke sihlabe umkhosi ukuthi siza nini bayosibona sesitheleka. Yize isabelo sezimali sehlile kulonyaka kunaleso esasiphiwe sona ngonyaka odlule futhi sincane kakhulu uma siqhathaniswa nezinto kumele sizenze. Sizozama ngakho konke okusemandleni ethu ukuthi izinhlelo zethu ziphumelele. Kuthiwa kubongwa okuncane kubongwe okukhulu. Ngivumele sihlalo ukuthi ngibonge usihlalo kanye namalungu ahloniphekile ekomiti lalendlu elibhekele ukuthinta abasebenzi ngokusixhasa nokusinika umkhombandlela kuyo yonke imizamo esiyenzayo yokuthuthukisa lelizwe lethu. Ngivumele futhi ngibonge usekela mphathiswa womnyango Inkosi Holomisa ngoxhaso nokubambisana nathi sonke ukuze siphumelele kukho konke esikwenzayo. Ngivumele futhi sihlalo ngibeke isihoxiso sikasekela mphathiswa uNkosi Holomisa ukuthi ngoba engekho la endlini uyingxenye yethimba lika Deputy President elinegotiator nosomabhizinisi indaba ye-National Minimum Wage. Ingakho engekho phakathi kwethu. Ngibonge nabaholi bezinhlangano zabaqashi, izinhlangano zabasebenzi kanye nezinhlangano zezakhamuzi ngokubambisana nathi kukho konke esithi makwenziwe. Ngidlulisa ukubonga kumqondisi jikelele womnyango kanye nethimba lakhe. Ngithi kini nonke ukwanda kwalo umthakathi. Ngibeka phambi kwenu kulendlu uhlahlo mali lomnyango wezabasebenzi luka 2016-17 olungu 2.8 billion wamarandi ukuthi nelwamukele. Uhulumeni kaKhongolose, uhulumeni wabantu siyaqhubha.
Thank you. Honorable Ntebe.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable Presiding Chair, members of the House, Honorable Minister, we want to firstly concur with you that yes, the workers in this country are the backdrop within which the South African economy was built. Job creation remains one of the most pressing concerns for the economy. Headline employment grew by 3.7% in the first quarters of 2015. And according to Statistics South Africa, 19,000 jobs were created in the formal sector and 273,000 in the informal sector in the first 3 quarters of 2015. This picture, Honorable Minister, has since changed after the recent reported statistics from states as South Africa, recording a 26.7% for the first quarter of 2016, 25.2% average unemployment from 2000 to 2006 is a clear indication of how stubborn the challenge is due to the structural nature that we are facing. The picture is not all doom and gloom, as there was a reported growth in the private sector employment, concentrated with faster growing sectors, such as the financial and business services, and in other labor-intensive sectors, as I will indicate just below. The number of unemployed persons increased by 10% to 5.7 million from 5.2 million in the fourth quarter of 2015. Employment fell 2.2% quarter on quarter to 15.66 million people. About 5.8% of these job losses were primarily in the manufacturing and construction sectors, recording a 5.3% losses. In contrast, job gains of 1.8% were observed in the agricultural sector and 1.4% community and social services respectively. We want to acknowledge that agricultural sector is one that we want to build, and such a growth is giving us courage. In those industries, job creation and the pace of remuneration growth outstripped that of employment growth. Given the large number of jobless South Africans and the increasing skills intensity of production, policy intervention to support sectors that can be able to create jobs for low-skilled workers are critical. As for efforts to raise quality of public education, our national development plan is accurate in suggesting that South Africa needs significant and sustained economic growth if it is to address the challenges of unemployment. In this regard, the mandate of the Department of Labor is to utilize the appropriated budget in fulfilling the creation of decent employment through inclusive growth. The key to unlocking this growth lies in improving and reforming the country's macroeconomic policy environment, infrastructure amongst the others, school system, regulatory framework, but we acknowledge, however, that this will take time, Honorable Minister. The Department of Labor also provides support through sector-specific funding programs, including a number of transfer payments to the entities it oversees, such as the CCMA, NETLEC, Compensation Fund, Productivity South Africa, UIF, just to mention the few. These entities, honorable members, have a very important individual mandate aimed at achieving the aspirations of the NDP. The ANC government, under the leadership of President Zuma, established the Job Fund in 2011 to support projects that create jobs in innovative ways. This came at a time when most of the job creation companies were still struggling to recover from the aftermath of the 28 job financial crisis. Because the ANC government is a responsible regime, we had to release 6 billion into the job fund over the MTEF period. South Africa is also struggling with the slow recovery of economic growth like the rest of the world economies, with the International Monetary Fund projecting an average of about 0.9% growth of GDP in 2016. The NDP proposed a further 5.4% of economic growth consistent with 2012 projections to 2030 if we are able to create a targeted amount of 11 million jobs. Another immense challenge is the youth unemployment, hovering just above 50% in the country. And this is, again, the issue that we want to deal with as a global phenomenon. In addressing all these challenges, our government have made a significant stride which will be articulated below. And I must indicate that a lot needs to be done in terms of the policy coordination across public entities and collaboration with the private sector. And with regards to the Job Fund, honorable members, the program seeks to overcome the barriers of job creation, some of which relates to the demand for labor, some to the supply of labor, and some to the broader institutional environment. To address these barriers, it provides public funding through the funding windows, such as support for work seekers, enterprise development, institutional capacity building, and infrastructural investment. The Department of Labor has responded very well in moderating workplace conflict as part of its commitment in implementing point number 6 of the 9-point plan program announced by the President of South Africa during the SONA. And we are quite happy, Honorable Minister, to hear that proactively CCMA has already, and consistent with the mandate of your department, has already zoomed into the environment now that we are going into the negotiation period to make sure that we create an industrial peace so that the situation can be able to go forward in a very stable manner. In this regard, the department instituted modalities which introduced a national minimum wage under the auspices of NETLEC during 2015. Upon approval by the cabinet, this will culminate into an implementation of the sector framework for business stability in collaboration with the key stakeholders, including, but not to, Department of Mineral Resources, Department of Agriculture, and affected strata of trade unions. Honorable members, in 2015, pilot workplaces mediation program in the mining and construction sector were developed to promote capacity initiatives aimed at improving participants to manage conflict in the workplace. And this is what I was relating to. And the CCMA has been leading in facilitating these programs in resolving labor dispute, and in some instances, averting violent and protracted industrial action in a number of sectors. Several other initiatives also aimed at improving and encouraging greater private investment includes incentives to provide for automotive industry, and Operation Pakisa Focus, business and government partnership. In this regard, to ensure that productive and peaceful labor relations, the ANC government is finalizing a framework with business and labor under the auspices of NEDLEC to reduce economic disruption caused by large protracted strike. Social partners have reached agreement on the principle of the national minimum wage policy framework. The stakeholder consultation is therefore continuing in ensuring that the policy document will be finalized and approved by Cabinet, and the bill will be introduced to Parliament. Rebuilding the trust between business and labor is crucial, Minister, and we think that NEDLEC as a tripartite set of structure is trying to assist. We think that NEDLEC is working super there, and we must begin to work on those achievements. Government continues to advance the introduction of a secret ballot, in the introduction of codes of best practice, and reinvigorating workplace forums to improve labor relations. This move is laudable, and it will be critical for stakeholders to escalate it into a social labor compact, putting interest of the country before all of us. The CECMA continues to take an active role in settling dispute. As a result, the number of arbitration proceedings have fallen by more than 70% from 2006 to 2016. And we are beginning to think that those amongst us who are sitting here who avoided and disrespected arbitration awards are beginning to respect the minister, so that workers cannot be willy-nilly arbitrarily dismissed. In conclusion, Honorable Chair, it is even more crucial than ever that we intensify efforts through existing programs such as CETA, EFT colleges, to ensure that marginalized sectors of the labor force, your youth and women, acquire the relevant skill to participate meaningfully in the economy. We cannot ignore the increased need and importance of high-level skill within the South African economy, and this is consistent with what the NDP seeks to achieve, the skills revolution, so that as we begin to stimulate our economy, we have the necessary pool of skilled people to be able to complement that. The rise in youth unemployment rate between 2010-2011 to the period under which we are now, financial years, show how critical it is to enact the employment tax law of 2013, with the sole purpose of expediting absorption of job inexperienced youth. The ANC continues to encourage businesses across the length and breadth of our country to take the implementation of the youth wage subsidy. The youth of this country are also encouraged to equip themselves with the necessary skills that are needed to grow the economy in this digital information age. The demand for highly skilled workers is an indication of the importance of having education coupled with tertiary qualifications to be employed in top occupational categories. In total view of this progress that the department is making and grabbing the bull with its horns, when it comes to tackling the stubborn structural unemployment, and with appreciation of the challenges that are facing us globally and domestically, we want to stand here, Minister, and move that we accept the bill as the budget as presented. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Lond.
Honorable Chairperson, Minister and fellow members, it is truly a privilege for me to welcome the Minister to the NCOP today. We are in the midst of an extremely difficult period in our country's young democracy, with an economy that simply isn't moving forward to be able to help address the increasing unemployment. But Honorable Minister, before I get to the budget, I need to state quite clearly that the Select Committee on Economic Development currently has a responsibility to monitor and oversee the work and the budgets of national departments and hold them accountable. This includes the Department of Labour, for which you are responsible. The Select Committees allow members of Parliament to engage with yourself and your department with more time allowances, because in this House the opposition are the only people that's keeping you accountable, since your colleagues from the ANC will only use their time to sing your praises. Honourable Minister, since the start of the 5th Parliament, you have shown that you have zero respect for this House. The work this House has to do through its committees. Not once have you deemed it necessary to attend a meeting for the full duration, that is, if you ever pitch up at all. You are the political head, the person who needs to account not only to Parliament, but also to the Select Committee. Yet you think MPs would be satisfied that you sent all your officials from across the country at an exorbitant cost to the taxpayers. Honourable Minister, we want you to attend and account. You were elected by the people of South Africa, including the 8.9 million unemployed you seem to disregard by not being accountable to their representatives in Parliament. If you do not have respect for the people's elected representatives, what must we tell the millions of South Africans about you? Under your watch, a myriad of hoops and hurdles businesses need to navigate have not improved. Red tape is preventing the necessary job creation that red tape is preventing the necessary job creating businesses need to firstly find traction and secondly to get momentum in order to address the crippling unemployment. It is part of your job to help create an enabling environment. It is not something alien to South Africa. It was and it is still being done if you are only willing to listen. No less than 1 kilometer from where you sit, Honourable Minister, there's another MEC Windy, that has an office. This is a shorter distance than what millions of South African learners has to walk to school. You can even get in and you can drive there. Please just don't use the blue lights in this province. The challenge will be whether there's a willingness from your side to listen. Firstly, will there be a willingness to attend a meeting, since your track record in the Select Committee is not showing that there's a willingness? With unemployment that's rising yet again, the CCMA has had its work cut out for them, and it seems it will remain under immense pressure. They are performing rather well, despite the current circumstances, and need the necessary funding and support to continue their good work. We have said this before and will say so again. The mandate should be expanded to help facilitate workers' decisions as to whether they should go on strike or not, preferably with a secret ballot, because quite often it is an elite few who decide what best suits them and not the people the unions represent. Following from the rising unemployment, the Unemployment Insurance Fund will be put in the spotlight, a spotlight they can ill afford. They are the lifeline for many who have been shoved into the uncertain world of unemployed, yet UIF is not the beacon of hope. Instead, they are adding to the stress and anxiety by being disorganized, having long waiting times, losing documentation, and another 1,001 excuses for not paying those most in need. The proposed changes are welcomed and will be monitored carefully to see whether progress is being made. We are likewise waiting with bated breath to read what the report into the collapse of the Tongaat Mall and the Meyersdal residence will reveal. Job safety and security is of critical importance, and this responsibility similarly falls under your mandate. We are 10 weeks away from one of the most important local government elections, one where South Africans must decide if they want to continue on the current path or change course for the better. The work or lack thereof of your department will also be measured on the 3rd of August. And I can tell you now, Honourable Minister, you will be found wanting. Voters on the 3rd of August will choose a government that is the opposite of what your department stands for. The DA has a track record where we govern, even though we can only take over this department in 2019. Just think what this department, as part of a DA government, could achieve. Create opportunities and new jobs so that people can improve their lives and provide to their families. Being responsive, Minister, to the needs and the concerns of the people it serves, also to the elected public representatives, not just waiting for a crisis, but by having proactive engagements when the people speak. We will listen. Expand nationally on what the DA local governments already do by leading the way in providing quality service delivery to all the residents. And committed to a transparent and accountable governance. Accountable, Minister, that means pitching up at the select committees, amongst other things. And to be an honest government that has zero tolerance for corruption. This is not so far off. South Africans deserve better. The unemployed, the employed, those who have already given up looking for work, as well as those who will enter the job market in the future. The department and this minister is proof that the ANC, as well as the chairpersons of this select committee who fails to hold the minister and the department to account, is proof that the ANC only care about themselves and not ordinary South Africans. I thank you.
Hlonishwa Khawula.
Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Minister, colleagues, a threat to the growth of economy of South Africa and also to the future stability of the country is the high unemployment rate of the country, which stands at 25.5%. Immediate to this threat of social and economic uneasiness is the high unemployment rate amongst the youth of South Africa. The department has a task amongst many to improve relations between the labor force and the employers. This will help arrest the relocation of companies from South Africa to other countries in the continent because of perceived strained labor relations. It does not look like South Africa is winning this endeavor. About a year ago, South Africa's status as the #1 economy in the continent was overtaken by Nigeria. Labor issues, amongst the many issues, was one of the reasons for this downfall. Recently, South Africa has recently been overtaken by Egypt, now in the status of occupying the second position as the second best economy in the continent, Honorable Dlamini. Contrary to the government's self-massage, we seem to be sliding downwards every year. Our country's enemy #1 in the economic downfall is government decisions, which are not helping the growth of our economy. This downfall is a major blow to the labor force of our country. With the country losing more and more industries, the citizens of our country continue to lose jobs and face a bleak future. Talks of cost-cutting measures in the presentation of the budget, compounded by talks of acquisition of a new executive jet for the president just in the middle of nowhere, is contradictions of the highest order. This is not helping our economic growth. It is not helping in stabilizing our labor force. Of late, our mining sector has been plagued by one disaster after the other. This points to the prioritization of health and safety issues to top the programs of the department. Compliant issues in respect of salary packages determined by the department, especially in the farming sector and the domestic workers, is another area demanding strict monitoring. Umnyango Mhlonishwa Shenge uyazinquma izilinganiso eziphansi zamaholo afanele aholwe ngabasebenzi basezindlini kanye nabasebenzi basemaplazini. Kodwa kwezinye izindawo la abasebenzi kabawafumani lamaholo ayilamanani asuke egunyaziwe. Ezinyangeni ezimbili ezedlule besihambela amaplaza aseBrema kanye naseSaudi ngasemzinto nabaholi beqembu lenkatha. Abasebenzi bakhale kakhulu ngalamaholo abo angesona isilinganiso salokho okufanele. Another area of concern is labor disputes that take too long to resolve. Labor disputes need to be resolved before much damage is done that negatively affects the economy of the country. In the public sector, most suspensions with pay continue to put a burden onto the already strained budgets of government. Whilst these can by law not be totally done away with, the issue is that they must not take too long to resolve. In conclusion, formalizing the relations between a political party and a trade union, as we have witnessed in the tripartite alliance of the ANC, has not helped much with the growth of the economy. The time has come for the department to consider a legislation that will prohibit trade unions from formally and officially associating with political parties. The department can provide a clear separation of roles between the two through legislation. I thank you.
Thank you. Lilunga lelihloniphekile lalendlu womkhandlu wetifundza umhlonishwa Ncitha.
Thank you very much, Chair. Uhloniphekileyo umphathiswa amalungu eParliament akhoyo phakathi kwethu, officials ne-members of the public. Good afternoon. Chair, you know, I was listening with interest from the opposition. I thought when they present, they will find a way of critiquing what the minister was presenting and come up with something that would help the country move forward. But unfortunately for me, I didn't pick up that. Chairperson, job creation remains one of the most pressing concerns for South Africa. During 2015, a large number of jobs were created in the community. Trade, sales, and wholesale sector, and the present structural challenges as less job created in labor-intensive sectors. What is even more concerning, Honorable Member, is the continued negative growth in the labor-intensive sector, identified by growth path, which includes infrastructure, manufacturing, mining, and so forth. Manufacturing stagnation in 2015, although performance was mixed across the industries. According to the Statistics South Africa, 19,000 jobs were created in the formal sector and 273,000 in the informal sector. And in the first 3 quarters of 2015, that has happened. The unemployment rate stood at 25.5 during 2015, with a record growth in private sector employment concentrated in faster growing sectors, such as financial and business services. Honorable members, we have a great plan in the NDP, which identified the need to support sectors with high potential for job creation and benefits for the rest of the economy. Alongside critical reforms to improve basic education and strengthen the capacity of the state. The plan guides government's current efforts to support the economy, focus on alleviating infrastructure bottlenecks, improve labor relations and strengthening skills, diversifying exports, and facilitating an innovation-friendly business environment. It is very critical for the Department of Labor and its entities to continue rebuilding trust between business and labor, as this is critical to finding collaboration solutions as the economy undergoes structural challenges. In this regard, Honorable Chair, we must applaud good efforts by the department in finalizing a framework with business and labor under the auspices of the National Economic Development and Labor Council, NADLAC in short. This will reduce the economic disruption caused by the large protracted strikes that we saw in 2014 and 2016. During the 2016-2017 financial year, the Department of Labor received a total of 2,848 billion. This is a 165 million increase in the normal terms. However, this budget has been 11 million from the allocation of 2015. But we trust that the strategic leadership of the minister will ensure the department does not compromise the key delivery program in its prioritization. We further appreciate such budget cuts as commitments to the cabinet decision lower the national accreditation expectation ceiling under the theme of the cost-cutting measures in light of the current economic climate change. Honorable Chair, it is also gratifying to note an increased budget allocated to the Program of Labor Policy and Industrial Relations Program. This program received a total amount of 965.2 million, which constitute 35% of the total departmental budget. This is where the effort of the CCMA and NADLAC are catered for to restore good industrial relations between workers and employers and avert unnecessary strikes that destabilize the economy. The biggest budget allocated to the Labor Policy and Industrial Relations Program is due to the transfer of CCMA of 770.5 million. The CCMA is arguably the busiest labor dispute resolution center in the world. The last available figure from 2014-2015 annual report indicates that a total number of 171,854 new cases are referred to the CCMA on a daily basis. Of these, Honorable Chair, more than 137,000 cases were deemed to be jurisdictionally, and 76% of these cases have been settled. This leaves a significant number of cases that end up to arbitration, the labor court, or the strikes of lockouts. Therefore, Honorable Chair, any additional resource that could be allocated to the CCMA can only assist this organization in further limiting the burden of the arbitration and court processes, as well as avoiding the risk of industrial action. Other important programs of the department include the inspection and enforcement of services, whose mandate is to realize decent work by regulating non-employment and employment conditions through inspection and enforcement. This program is very important to achieve compliance with all labor market policies. Inspection and enforcement services also include management and support services, which include occupational health and safety. I want to further appreciate the focus on the annual performance plan of the department, which will deploy the allocated budget on the implementation of the Amendment Labor Relations Act of 1995, the Basic Condition of Employment of Act 1997, the Employment Equity Act of 1998, and the National Minimum Wage. It is also worth noting that the labor relations were reported as improving during the medium-term budget policy statement of 2015, with 176,000 workdays lost to industrial action in the first half of the year, down from 7.5 million in the first half of 2014. This is quite a good progress, Honorable Chair, as the strikes have been relatively short-lived, primarily affecting individual firms rather than the entire subsectors. Indeed, Honorable Chair, the government of the ANC is consistently proving wrong the prophets of doom. who wrongly on daily basis are taking this country, we are busy taking this country forward, and they continue to do the opposite. In this regard, we are also noting the progress being made in the NADLAC, discussing the formula and the framework of the stabilizing the labor law markets. In addition, Honorable Chair, the recent Labor Relations Amendment Act of 2015 and Employment Equity Amendment Act has given the Commission for Conciliation, Mediation and Arbitration new powers to intervene in strike, in turn giving the CCMA more teeth and curtail to prolonged strikes. Both these interventions have the potential to improve South Africa's collective bargaining and labor relations. In this regard, I want to assure the department that the committee will exercise its oversight function to assist the department in dealing with its challenges of implementing of programs, including addressing the issues of vacancies, vacancy rates in the department and its entities. This will be a very key in ensuring that the department deliver on its frontline services, such as the linking of job seekers with potential employment and navigate and defines path towards economic growth and general socio-economic development. With these remarks, Honorable Chair, the African National Congress would like to support the budget vote of the department. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Mtileni.
Inhlekani mutameri wa mtshamo wa xitulu ni xeweta vatirhikulori hinkwenu na n'wina vayeni mi nga kwala ka galari. Chairperson, we are not going to deal with the issues of dysfunctional of the department, but principal matters. It is fitting that we debate labor budget vote in the backdrop of quarterly labor force survey. The reality of millions of South Africans in particular, young Africans in the townships and rural areas, is the depressing one. More than 6 million people, most of them young who are willing, ready and capable to work, cannot find jobs. It is clear that the economic policies of the ANC government are a major cause for unemployment. South Africans are waking up to a realization that the EFF is our last hope for jobs. Chairperson, in 2014, we were told that the introduction of national minimum wage is a done deal.
Honorable Mtileni, take your seat. Honorable Wana.
Thank you, Chairperson. Can the speaker take a question? Can an honorable speaker?
No, I got it well. Don't worry, Honorable Wana. I'll ask. Honorable Mtileni, are you ready to take a question?
As usual, a basin.
No, it's not ready. Continue, Honorable Mtileni.
Chairperson, in 2014, we were told that the introduction of the national minimum wage is a done deal, and all that was left was to agree on the level. All indicators point to a deliberate misleading of workers. The ANC government, together with COSATU, has no intention to introduce a national minimum wage. The ANC, in collusion with the DA, rejected a motion by the EFF last year in November to introduce a national minimum wage.
Honorable Mtileni, Honorable Samka. Honorable Mtileni, Honorable Wana is checking whether are you ready to take a question?
Angithi nawe uhamba nami mama. Ebhasini.
Honorable Mtileni, you can't talk to her direct.
Oh.
You can respond
House
to the question.
Chairperson.
Yes.
Naye umama ngihamba naye ebhasini.
No, it's not ready to take your question. Continue, Honorable Mtileni.
It is time for workers across all sectors to realize that the EFF is our last hope for a meaningful and living national minimum wage. Today, Chairperson, sons and daughters of cleaners, gardeners, and drivers at the University of Pretoria can access free higher education like those of professors. As the EFF, we say, salute to the EFF Student Command for taking the right of labor brokers and outsourcing to the right quotas. And we are saying the same will happen in all other institutions of higher learning. It is time for workers across all sectors to realize that the EFF is our last hope for a complete ban of labor brokers and outsourcing. Chair, the latest report of employment equity that shows lack of transformation is not a surprise. Until such time that there is a real and meaningful economic transformation, racial transformation approach of the ANC government is a wild goose chase. Only state ownership and control of strategic sectors of the economy should be the foundation of sustainable economic transformation in South Africa. It is only then that we will see employment equity transformation. And domestic workers from Alexander and other townships will earn a living wage of more than 4,500 per month. Mine workers in Marikana and other mines will earn a living wage of more than 12,500 a month. Builders will earn a living wage of more than 7,000 per month. Petrol attendants at Sasol, Engine, BP, Shell, and other petrol stations will earn a living wage of more than 5,000 rands. EFF will illustrate through the people's municipalities the role of the state in stimulating labor-absorptive economic activities such as outlined in the EFF 2016 manifesto. EFF is our last hope for jobs. Salute.
Thank you. Honorable Faber.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson, Minister, and fellow members. Honourable Minister, good to see you here. It's been a long time. South Africa has 8.9 million South Africans unemployed. You must listen to this, Minister. 8.9 million people. Most of these poor people have lost hope for future employment in South Africa. The ANC government of the day are part of this reason. There are poor people in this specific position. The government has not created the environment for opportunities for small businesses and entrepreneurs. Instead, honourable members, this Department of Labour creates more and more short-term solutions via EPWP projects to keep people dependent on the piecemeal jobs we so well known to feed their families. With the upcoming elections, we know that the ANC officials are working hard to pull wool over voters' eyes, telling them about all the jobs that we will be dishing out for people, voting for the ANC and having ANC member cards. As you know, this ANC member cards is the golden ticket to get work in EPWP jobs. Honourable Eddie will come after this and tell us it's not so, but we know he's a good politician. We have seen year in and year out, this is happening. Only ANC members getting jobs in EPWP. Before elections, this is when jobs start, all of a sudden. Before elections, projects pop up, and all of a sudden, there is hope for unemployed people in our country. The ANC does not understand fairness because they are set on only creating jobs for fellow cadres. Everyone out there knows this. Fellow cadres whose names suddenly appear in projects managers' list on top. So if you're on a list, all of a sudden you just see new people coming on top of the list and you don't understand why are you not getting jobs. The DA asked the unemployed people on the ground not to lose hope. We don't want you to lose hope. You can never be free until you have financial freedom. Now, the DA has a proven track record, not empty promises as the ANC are making for the last 22 years. Chairperson, can I be protected?
You are protected.
We as the DA, where we govern, we create opportunities for investment, like we have done in the Western Cape province, as well as the Midvaal municipality. Thousands of jobs, honourable members, have been created in these areas. Real jobs, permanent jobs, not 1-2 month jobs, and not just for those few months as this EPWP jobs. This is what the DA puts on the table when we govern and where we govern. The Department of Labour has become an ANC election tool. Unfortunately, Minister, this is the truth. We ask voters not to throw away opportunities for yourself and your children for their futures. If the ANC government has no solution after 22 years in government, it is time to throw in the towel. You've seen the boxes. Throw in the towel. And let the DA government bring these opportunities for service delivery to our people. The DA has shown in the Western Cape province how the youth wage subsidy has helped many young people getting into the workforce compared to the watered-down ANC employment tax incentive. What the ANC needs to do now is to ensure that not only will the incentive be budgeted for, but also upgraded into stronger DA proposals so that our youth can thrive. Now, Honourable Minister, you better start doing your job to unblock growth and creating jobs. Because come 3 August 2016, there will be many sitting ANC councillors looking for jobs when the DA kicks them out at the ANC at the election polls. I thank you.
Thank you, sir. The Honourable Makwe.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson, Minister Oliphant. Let me start off with the famous words of the Honourable Willem Faber from the Democratic Alliance. You must listen to this. Now, I've heard that many a time, and then I wait attentively for him to say something. And he says nothing. Honourable Chairperson, I also hear the Honourable Faber talking about the incentives. Now, he must learn to listen and read, because in the departments of trade and industry, he will see a lot that we're doing vis-à-vis incentives. It's not the departments of labour's responsibility to provide incentives. Then he is echoed by his dear other colleague in the DA, the Honourable Lond, who talks about wanting to engage with the minister. But however, when we go out to the communities and we do our oversight, he's not interested in being there, because that's where we in the ANC see our priorities, to be present amongst our people. Then he talks about the elite few who go on strike. Now, P.W. Botha did better than that when he spoke about agitators, the agitators, as if people cannot think for themselves. People can think for them. What does it say? The DA's position on labour matters is even more conservative than that of P.W. Botha. Chairperson, but we in the ANC know, and I will speak to it. But let me, before I do that, say that the ANC accepts with humility the responsibility to lead. And we will lead you, opposition. As we have led you to this free South Africa, we will lead you further through political education. Because what happens is the Honorable Mtileni has a wonderful opportunity, 6 minutes to address us. And what does he do? He speaks for 3 minutes. And then when he's on the floor, then he wants to make a noise and shout and things like that. What an opportunity lost to let the nation hear what is it in the EFP policies. Vacuous. Trade union federations like NACTU, FEDUSA, and COSATU, who were established during the apartheid era, following on the proud leadership of SATU and also SACTU, campaigned for the rights of workers even under apartheid. And they were eager and rigorous in their efforts to ensure that the rights of all workers are protected in the constitution of a democratic South Africa. In this constitutional democracy led by the ANC, it is vital that we revisit the constitution as we engage in this debate on labor. Paramount is Section 23 of the Constitution that spells out what labor relations will be in our democratic society. Section 24 makes reference to an environment that is not harmful to the health and well-being of those in the workplace. Section 28 provides for the protection of children from exploitative labor practices, and that children must not be required or permitted to perform work or services that are inappropriate. Section 34 affirms that workers' right of access to courts and access to fair and speedy labor justice must be respected. There are many other constitutional provisions and labor laws aimed at promoting and protecting the rights of workers. We encourage South African workers to always celebrate the International Day of Workers on May 1st. Workers of the world have to unite, as we know that an injury to one is an injury to all. While interrogating the annual performance plan of the Labour Department, it was a pleasure to observe that such rights are being considered and that the budget makes provision for the work to be done in protecting and enhancing the rights of workers. The Director General of the department admitted to us that they cannot do everything with the money that they have available. He also admitted to us that there are other constraints the department has, but indicated very clearly that their plans that are being presented to us in this budget today are realistic, they are achievable. It is also the recognized policy mandate of the department to, amongst others, protect vulnerable workers, ensure sound labor relations, eliminate inequality and discrimination in the workplace, enhance occupational health and safety, and give value to labor market flexibility. Now, those who vote against the budget, and we know who they are, will vote against these things happening to workers. And then they come to the podium and talk about, we in the EFF promised the workers. But when they vote, they are not interested in what this democratic government is doing to enhance the rights of workers. The importance of organized labor was recognized even by the apartheid state, members of the DA. Note that, although worker rights were seldom respected. On the 1st of May, 1979, the first interim report of the Vian and Rickert Commission was tabled in the apartheid
Honorable
parliament.
Makwe, please take your seat. Honorable Mtileni.
Honorable Chairperson, I've got the membership form that I can pass over to Honorable Makwe. He seems to be a spokesperson, so he can immediately come and fill in the form here.
Thank you, sir. You are out of
Thank
order.
you.
Honorable Makwe, please
As
continue.
normal, you are out of order. Thank you for being out of order. You're just being consistent through you, Chairperson. The Vian Commission was set up by the oppressive and exploitative apartheid government after the Durban strikes of 1973 and the Soweto uprisings of 1976, what we're celebrating 40 years of this month, next month. The Vian Commission believed that these reforms were necessary for an industrial relations system in South Africa. Now again, in 1979, under apartheid, look at what they said and listen to what the DA is saying, because their policy says nothing on labor matters. So listen what they say at the podium. 2 years later, however, the Vian Commission made recommendations that the Labor Relations Act be amended to grant black trade unions legal recognition and encourage them to register. There was mischief behind this move. The Vian Commission believed that these reforms were necessary to control the proliferation of black trade unions in the 1970s. They did not succeed. Its recommendations were that governments make sweeping changes to include the following: legal recognition of black trade unions and migrant workers, that the DA is now saying you should not have such recognition. Second thing is abolition of statutory job reservation. The DA is saying that jobs must not be reserved for blacks. Retention of the closed shop bargaining system. They are saying that you cannot have a system that is closed. It must be open.
Honorable Makwe, please take your seat. Honorable Faber.
Chairperson, that is a blatant lie by this speaker. And it is proven, as I said, that where the DA governs, that we create the most jobs. So if the Honorable Makwe can accept this and please not speak the truth in a different way.
Honorable Faber. Honorable members. I am certainly not a labor expert, but please debate issues. That point which you are raising is a point of debate in as much as what the Honorable Makwe raised as a debate. I am on the floor. Are you challenging what I'm saying? Members, take your seat. Members, tackle issues. I think that we should allow this point to go on. Honorable Makwe, you are being challenged as telling and lying to this House and therefore to the nation. If you can, in the next few minutes, substantiate your claim to that which you just said, before I am forced to say to Honorable Faber to come with a substantive motion to prove that you indeed lied to the House. Please continue.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. All of us members of the National Council of Provinces recently had the opportunity to visit the Eden District Municipality. And it was good to see how many jobs the DA is not creating within that district municipality. Chairperson, we have also, as national government, had to intervene in various instances,
Honorable
like in the
Makwe.
IDZ.
Honorable Makwe, take your seat. Honorable Engelbrecht.
Madam Chair, thank you very much. According to the Government Performance Index completed by the Good Government
Is
Africa,
that a point of order?
It's just a point of order, Madam Chair, to say that what the Honourable Member is not giving us the truth, because according to this index, so it is not debate, it's been proven that according to this debate, the top 9 municipalities are DA run, and that the DA municipalities has got the lowest rate of unemployment. It's not debatable, Madam Chair, it's a point, it's a fact, it's a paper that's been written and been published. It's a fact, Madam Chair. So
Thank
if
you,
the Honourable
ma'am.
Member can withdraw his statement.
Honorable members, it is time. Please take your seat. It is time for elections, and I can hear all parties trying to market themselves in the House. That is understandable. Then I think that members must make these speeches in their debates, these speeches which you steal our time to make point of orders to. Make those debates in your portfolio committees, make them in the speeches when you take the podium. For now, all the points that you are making are points of debates. Please continue, Ntate Makwe. Asikakapheli, Tata, I am the timekeeper, you are not. Ntate Makwe, please continue.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. The Department of Labour has established a partnership with the province of Gauteng, with the provincial government and with municipalities. In this program, the first thing that we are looking at is the Gibela project, where
Ntate
PRASA...
Makwe, you are eliciting enough excitement. Please take your seat. The Honorable Smith.
Thank you, Honorable
Please
Chairperson.
take your seat. Your colleague is on the floor. Ntate Smith.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I would like to hear if the Honorable Member would take a question.
Honorable Makwe, will you take a question?
Chairperson, had the DA not taken up so much of my time, I would have taken their questions. And whatever they do,
The answer
they're
is
not
no,
going to
sir.
disrupt me, Chairperson. I'm going to make my point.
Please take your seat, sir. Please take your seat. The Honorable Julius, you were on your feet.
Chairperson, it was actually the same request, but from Gauteng to Gauteng again. Will the member take my question?
Thank you very much. Will Gauteng to Gauteng do the Gauteng thing in Gauteng? Can we continue, please, Honorable Makwe?
Chair, the leadership of the ANC is unquestionable when we hear how the DA wants to raise questions with us. I am available at any time to talk to you outside of my limited time at this podium. The PRASA project is looking at construction of workshop and building training center in Danoto in Nigel. The Labour Activation Program has 4 projects that were approved, and we are looking at the MIRSITA, the Transport Education and Training Authority, the AgriSITA, and the Wholesale and Retail SITA. The Wholesale and Retail SITA is also focusing on SMME development as well as trades in the wholesale and retail sector. And I, as a delegate from Gauteng, will be working with the Department of Labour to ensure that these objectives become real and to the benefit of people in this country. We don't need to say it just to get votes. The people that knows the ANC knows that we deliver on our promises.
Honorable Makwe.
50 beneficiaries
Honorable
are
Makwe.
already in training
Your
at
time
the
has expired,
Ekurhuleni
sir.
East College for obtaining a national certificate, also in community house building.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Your time has expired.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. The Honorable, the Minister, Labour, Honorable Oliphant.
Thank you, Chairperson of the NSOP. Chairperson, firstly, let me deal with the issue that was raised by Honorable Mtilin. I don't know who said the issue of the national minimum wage was a done deal. There are procedures when you negotiate so that you have to come up with a concrete decision where business, labor, government, and the communities have agreed at NEDLEC. If you were the worker previously, you will know how the processes are done. And I also want to caution you that you must never play with the emotions of the workers in this country. I don't want to get into details about the situation that happened in Marikana because some of your members here, they claimed
Honorable
to be
Minister.
the widows of those workers who died in Marikana.
Honorable Minister, please take your seat a bit. Honorable Mukosi, you are on the floor.
Thank you.
Honorable Hatton, there's a member on the floor.
Thank you, Chairperson. Ke ne ke kopa gore o bolelle Honorable Minister gore a ska bua on behalf of Mutileni and a sa tlhaloganya Mutileni a botse gore Mutileni Honorable Mutileni o na reng and a bile a ska bua on behalf of the EFF and Honorable Minister a dire mmereko wa gagwe a ska tla go dira go tsaya bo tlapa ba gagwe a batla go bo ba mo go Honorable Mutileni ke a leboga. Shut up, man. I'm listening to the chair.
Order. Please take your seat. Honorable Mukhosi, that was not a point of order. Honorable members in this House do refer to parties, do refer to persons inside and outside of this House, and that is permissible. Honorable Minister, please continue.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, Honorable Faber, I think what we have said is not true. When you are saying the department...
Honorable members, do not drown the speaker on the podium.
When you were saying the Department of Labor is creating EPWP jobs, the EPWP program is led by the Department of Public Works, and I have indicated on how we're going to deal with that situation. It is clear that you were not listening when I was speaking on this podium this morning, today. But at the same time, I just want to
Honorable
say
Minister,
to you...
I've got Honorable Smith on the floor. Yes, sir.
Honourable Chair, I'm standing on a point of order.
What is your point of order,
The
sir?
Honourable Minister keeps on speaking directly to members within the House instead of through the chairperson.
Point taken. Honorable Minister, please address the House through me.
I apologize, Chairperson. It was Honorable, through you, Chair, Honorable Faber raised the issue that we employ people and at the same time they will be in our list. And when I visited the farms in Vredendal, the person who claimed to be the leader of the Association of Farmers is number 2 on the DA list, who was saying he will be coordinating and convening on behalf of the farmers. So that person, indirectly as well, together with his colleague, I was informed by one of them that they are using some money from the social development to run some projects around the Vredendal municipality. So I think those issues, no, how can I play chess? Because that was given by the MEC for Social Development in the Western Cape. Because it is clear that maybe she doesn't understand on how we have to utilize the social development budget. On the issue, Chairperson, that was raised by the first speaker of the Democratic Alliance, he was saying, I have a zero respect of the Select Committee. I would appeal to you, Chairperson, through the procedural staff, to give them the Chairperson's manual that was drafted in 2005 here in the NSOP, to say the minister can go to the Select Committee or Portfolio Committee as per the invitation of the Chairperson of that particular committee. And the reason why we came up with that manual then, it was the same Democratic Alliance that was complaining that the ministers of the ANC are flooding the committees and doing the political work. And therefore, if then that manual has been amended, I'll be very happy, Chairperson, to hear from you. On the issues of the secret ballot, and also...
Honorable Minister, please take a seat. Honorable Terre Blanche.
I want to ask the Honourable Minister whether she'll be willing to take a question.
Honourable Minister, are you willing to take a question?
Because of the time, Chair, I'm not going to take any question. They were
No,
supposed to
Honourable.
raise those issues during the debate. And Chairperson of the issue of the secret ballot, these issues are being dealt with at NEDLAC. The Honourable Chairperson of the Select Committee has outlined the program on the national minimum wage at NEDLAC. And one of the code of ethics is the one that deals with the issues of secret ballots. And we will publicize that after it has been adopted by the Committee of Principals. But also on the report of Utongati Mall about the investigation, we are going to publish that report this afternoon. And I do believe that the member has heard that that's what we'll be doing, because they do have a member that is a director in the Media 24. But Chairperson, let me say on the issue of the contribution by us towards the job creation and employment. What we are doing as the department, through the PIC, we have invested 118 billion and also 52 billion. Those billions are from the funds so that they can fund those businesses that will create jobs. And that's what we are doing. But at the same time, Honorable Chair, I believe that the members do understand that we have the supported employment factories, which was previously known as sheltered employment factories, where...
Your time has expired, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Chairperson, I will appeal that maybe we will be given enough time to go and fully brief the members about the programs that we're doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Honorable members, that concludes the debate. The secretary will read the second order of the day.
Policy debate on budget vote number 5, Home Affairs.
The Honorable, the Minister, Home Affairs, the Honorable Gigaba.
Chairperson, Deputy Minister, and Minister Oliphant, honorable members, distinguished guests. For far too long, Home Affairs has been perceived as a slow, moribund department offering low-value services in an inefficient and indifferent manner. No more. We are reimagining it as a modern, digital, secure custodian of national identity, responding to the present and future needs and circumstances and run by professionals operating in a highly secure environment to protect the precious records of all our people. With this in mind, it is appropriate that Cabinet decided last month to fully integrate Home Affairs into the security cluster and thus paved a way towards the pursuit of this new vision that will see the department realigned so that it plays its vital role to enable economic development, contribute to national identity, national security, support governance and administration, and enable effective service delivery. This extensive view of Home Affairs will enable critical partners in the public and private sectors to identify their needs and partner with us to fulfill them in the national interest. Later this year, we will present a business case to Cabinet that will, amongst others, show how a modern, secure Home Affairs will enable government to deliver services better, cheaper and faster, drastically reduce fraud, and meet the above-mentioned fraud critical contributions. In the meantime, some of our targets will be affected by budget constraints, but we will strive to use existing resources creatively and continue to make innovative use of public-private partnerships to deliver on our mandate. Chairperson, universal civil registration rests on 2 legs: early registration of all births within 30 days and provision of identity documents to all adults. We have made great strides on early birth registration in recent years. From registering 39% of all births within 30 days in 2010-2011, we registered approximately 67% of all births within 30 days in 2015-16. We will continue working with the government and community stakeholders to pursue 100% compliance with early birth registration. Chairperson, Home Affairs manages immigration by balancing 3 overarching objectives: economic development, national security, and the fulfillment of our international obligations. We aim to contribute to economic development by facilitating the entry of visitors, tourists, skilled workers, and investors into South Africa. In 2015-2016, we facilitated the entry of 16.1 million foreign nationals into the country. The number of tourists arriving in South Africa in January increased 15% year-on-year. We also issued 4,424 critical skills visas last year. We now have 25 visa application centers in 9 high-volume tourism markets around the world, and will increase this to 36 in 12 countries by the end of this year. We are especially committed to contributing to regional integration in Africa and efforts to ease the movement of Africans on our continent. It was in this context that we launched recent programs such as the Zimbabwe Special Permit, completed last year, and the current Lesotho Special Permit, to regularize our SADC neighbors living in South Africa and to enhance regional cooperation. We also initiated the first ever community border crossing point between South Africa and Botswana at Tsidilamlomo in the Northwest Province, with the aim to roll these out to other border crossings with selected other neighboring countries. This year, we will pay more attention to strengthening bilateral and multilateral relations with fellow African countries on migration matters. We have almost completed the implementation of the 2014 immigration regulations, including the long-term multiple entry visa for business people, academics, and frequent travelers to South Africa. We started implementing biometric capture at OR Tambo, King Shaka, Cape Town, and Lanseria international airports, which has enabled us to abolish the transit visa and allow prospective travelers, mainly from China, to apply for visas through accredited tourism operators. This year, to further support tourism and inward investment, we will open 2 premium visa facilitation centers in Port Elizabeth and Durban, with a third likely to be opened in Cape Town. Furthermore, I have directed the department to explore ways to improve our management of international students. In the coming weeks, we will launch a special exemption to allow graduate international students in critical skills areas to qualify for permanent residence permits upon graduation, so as to ensure that South Africa benefits from all the skills produced by its universities, and to make it easier for international students who want to work or start business in South Africa after graduation to do so. We should also note that last year on Africa Day, we held our inaugural Mkhaya Migrant Awards as a way to acknowledge and celebrate the positive contributions of immigrants in our society. In terms of the new white paper being developed, issues of the integration of immigrants in our society will receive prominent attention. Chairperson, in terms of the 5 priorities we outlined last year, first, we are making steady progress to modernize and digitize Home Affairs. The live capture system, which supports the smart ID card and the passport, offers South Africans a glimpse into the future Home Affairs. In this regard, we have issued 4.1 million smart ID cards to date and have met our target of 2.2 million smart ID cards issued last year. We aim to issue another 2.2 million cards this year. Live capture offices have increased from 140 to 178, and all of them now accept payment by cash, credit, and debit cards. However, even with 178 modernized offices, getting to 38 million and beyond will pose an enormous challenge. To accomplish this, we need to be creative. That is why we developed eHome Affairs, a groundbreaking innovative solution in partnership with the banking sector. It is an online platform where customers can apply and pay for smart ID cards and passports, which they can finalize and collect at their banks. 4 banks have partnered with us to go live, and the service is operational at 11 branches in Gauteng and 1 in the Western Cape. To date, approximately 35,287 applicants have taken advantage of our partnership with the banks to apply for smart ID cards and passports without stepping foot in a traditional Home Affairs office. To manage capacity, we opened this platform only to applicants between 30 and 35 years old, but we have this week expanded it to the group between 25 and 40 years of age. Other initiatives taking place this year as part of modernization include digitizing 6 million birth paper records, automating birth, marriage, and death processes, working with SETA and other service providers to improve system uptime, and exploring options to refresh or upgrade our mobile units to serve remote communities. As we ventured onto rendering our services online, we have strengthened our network and system security, and we will continue to strengthen our cybersecurity capabilities. Secondly, a business case for the Border Management Agency was submitted to the National Treasury in 2015, and Cabinet subsequently approved the draft BMA bill in September 2015 for introduction to Parliament. Subsequent to that, extensive engagements on the draft bill took place at NEDLEC, which have now been completed, and the bill has formally been sent to the National Assembly. With the support of Parliament, we believe we are on track to meet the target date for the establishment of the BMA of April 1, 2017. Thirdly, we registered a PPP with National Treasury last year, and appointed KPMG as a transaction advisor in December 2015 to lead the process towards the revamp of the physical and systems infrastructure of key land ports of entry. Certainly for this work, we will set bold BEE local supply and skills development targets. Fourthly, we are in the final stages of a review, which has been several years in the making, of our international migration policy. Cabinet has approved the publication of the Green Paper for public comments, setting in motion a process of extensive public engagement that will lead to a white paper to be published by March 2017, which will form the basis of national policy and future legislation. Fifthly, the Deputy Minister will elaborate on the measures we are taking to improve frontline service anchored around the Moitapile initiative we launched last year. Chairperson, in the 2016-17 financial year, we are transferring 1.6 billion rand to the IEC and 134 million rand to the Represented Political Parties Fund. The full complement of the IEC commissioners has been completed with the appointment by the National Assembly of Ms. Janet Love onto the commission. We trust that the IEC will ably conduct this year's municipal elections in pursuit of their constitutional mandate to deliver credible, free and fair elections. No funds are transferred to the government printing works, as the organization has been self-funding since 2012, with last year's revenue exceeding 1 billion rand. This notwithstanding, GPW will this year continue implementing asset recapitalization program that will ensure the completion of the dispatch center for passports and smart ID cards, significantly improving security and efficiency, and will also be close to 70% in the previous year and 50% in the year before last. Accordingly, we can conclude that this reimagining of Home Affairs is both meeting the expectations of our clients and creating new levels of excitement for our officials that makes them work hard to pursue our performance targets. In this regard, I would like to thank the Deputy Minister for her tireless work, sterling support and wise counsel all the time. I also thank the Director General, his deputies and all our staff for their excellent support and continuous improvement of our services to our nation, our clients and government. Because of them, we live in exciting times today at Home Affairs and are proud to be part of the massive changes our people are today experiencing as a result of this reimagining effort. I wish to thank also the leadership and staff of the agencies that report to me for their hard work, dedication, patriotism, and constructive support. I finally would like to thank the chairperson of the Select Committee, the Honorable Dlamini, as well as all the members of the committee for their support and constructive criticism and guidance in the execution of our mandate. Chairperson, it is my privilege at this moment to table this, the budget vote number 5 of the Department of Home Affairs before this august House. I thank you.
Thank you, sir. The chairperson of the Select Committee on Social Services, Honorable Dlamini.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. My greetings to the Honorable Minister and the Deputy Minister, honorable members, the guests, and people of South Africa. Honorable Chair, let me upfront say that as a Select Committee, we had an opportunity to get a briefing from the department, and we agreed that we welcome and support the budget of the department, having been convinced that it is aligned to all strategic policy provisions, and we are convinced that it is going to address the needs of our people. Honorable Chair, I've decided to take another route. Having listened to the debate of the Department of Home Affairs in the past, Honorable Minister, you will talk until you are blue in the face. If we as members don't understand the role of the Department of Home Affairs, Honorable Chair, I decided to do a small abet on what is the role of the Department of Home Affairs. For me, Honorable Chair, if you listen to the debates, the past debates of opposition party, I will be specific because it's not all of them, especially the Democratic Alliance and the EFF. They have reduced the Department of Home Affairs into visa regulations. It tells you, Honorable Chair, the extent of understanding of the department. At this level, we are at a policy level where we're supposed to review and look at the impact.
Honorable Dlamini, please take your seat. Honorable Mtileni.
I want to know if the honorable member is ready to take a question.
Honorable Dlamini, are you willing to take a question?
Basin to Acacia Park.
He says same to you. Basin. She's not going to take the question. Please take your seat. Take your seat, sir. She's not willing to take a question. Please take your seat. I don't know. All I know is that you are taking your seat. Honorable Hatting, you are on your feet.
I am indeed, Honorable
Proceed,
Chair.
sir.
Honorable Chair, we have just started this debate. It's a point of order. This is the second speaker on this debate. Now, the speaker may not anticipate what other speakers are going to say. She already started to anticipate what the other parties, EFF and DA, will say without even we had a chance to speak that. The member is not allowed to anticipate what other members will say.
That is true. The member is not allowed. However, I listened very carefully to what the Honorable was saying. She said, arising from listening to past debates, I have decided to take a different turn. Therefore, that is not anticipation on what the members are saying. It is, I have heard what they have said, and therefore I'm taking this line. Please proceed, Honorable Dlamini.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. For me, the Department of Home Affairs I could say is an alpha and omega of government. Reason of saying that, Honorable Chair, I just said that we are at a policy level. We seem to be looking more on the operations, reducing ourselves, looking at the operations of the department without reviewing at the policies and the impact that department is making. If I can take an example of South Africa as a country, if Department of Home Affairs was not there, South Africa was not going to be there. For a country to exist, you need to have a certain number of people to constitute a country. Without Home Affairs, you can't have that because those people must have been registered through birth, and there must be a system of registering them as they passed away. So this department is very much important. We should be understanding it along those lines, not the visa regulations, whether one office has operated or not. That is an operational function. We can't be looking at the activities of the department being members of parliament. Let me take another department. If I may take, for example, the Department of Social Development. If the Department of Home Affairs was not there, and if those children were not registered, how will the department know the ages of these children? And how will they know who qualifies to receive pension? It can only be done through this department. Let me take another department, Department of Education. For the Department of Education to prepare itself for the future provision of our children, they need to know how many children are being born each and every day. They can't have that if Department of Home Affairs is not there. So you can't reduce the department into visa regulations only. It shows to me narrow-minded by the two parties that I have indicated earlier.
I just want to know if it is parliamentary.
Honorable
Narrow-minded members from the two parties I've just mentioned.
Okay. Can I respond to you? The honorable member referred to parties, not members of this house, as now reminded. Therefore, it is permissible. Please continue, Honorable Dlamini.
Honorable Chair, my plea to these parties, because they are representing people out there who elected them to be here in the House, is that open up your minds. Don't limit your minds to the ANC and to the department, because you are serving those people out there. If you do that, you are disadvantaging yourself to look at the impact of what is done by the department, at the same time, looking whether the department does serve its purpose to serve the people as it was intended. That is my plea, Honorable Chair. In order for the Department of Home Affairs to safeguard the identity and status of each new South African and the accuracy of the National Population Register, there is a need to ensure that early registration of all births within 30 days are done. The Honourable Minister has spoken to that. We commend the department for the work done in this regard, but we are saying 100% will even be more appreciated. We also want to commend, Honourable Minister, the open mind or minded of the department and the innovations that you are doing as a department of expanding the traditional offices of Department of Home Affairs in the government only and including private sector. It shows that this department, led of course by the African National Congress, it does take care of its people. Honorable Chair, the department's draft migration policy will be presented. I heard the minister that it has been presented to Cabinet during 2016. In his response to this call from the President, the minister, in his budget vote speech, announced that the international students constitute a key segment which is prioritized by government globally because of the economic and social benefit they offer to host countries in terms of adding to skills base and contributing positively to society more broadly. In this regard, the department is going to formally launch in the coming weeks a special exemption to allow graduates, international students in critical skills areas to qualify for permanent residence permits upon graduation. This shows that this department do care for the country, especially on the scarce skills that we don't have as a country. This is in order to ensure that South Africa benefit from all the skills produced by the universities and to make it easier for international students who want to work or start business in South Africa to ensure economic growth. Honorable Chair, let me conclude by saying, by borrowing from the words of one of the struggling heroes, the son of the soul, Ukrizan, when he said, socialism is not about big concepts and heavy theories. Socialism is about decent shelter. I'm referring to what I was saying earlier, Honorable Chair. It's about decent shelter for those who are homeless. It is about water to those who have no safe drinking water. It is about health care. It is about dignity for the old. It is about overcoming the huge divide between urban and rural areas. It is about decent education for all our people. Socialism is about rolling back the tyranny of the market as long as the market is dominated by an unelected, privileged few. The case of socialism will always exist. Those are the words that were said by one of our great sons. If our understanding, Honorable Chair, is that the Department of Home Affairs is the main contributor to ensure that South African citizens receive the above-mentioned services, don't look at the department in terms of IDs. Look at the Department of Home Affairs online with the service delivery to our people. It might mean that there is something wrong with those who oppose the budget. It might also mean that those of us who question the operations and activities of the department might have lost the bigger picture of the policy level where we are as Parliament. We might need to take 2 steps back and find the right path, because we have reduced ourselves into operations and looking at the activities of the department. The Select Committee, Honourable Chair, as indicated earlier, on social services hereby welcomes and supports the budget allocated to the Department of Home Affairs for the year 2016-17 financial year. The committee will continue to oversee the activities of the department to ensure that funds are spent to deliver important services to benefit all South Africans. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. The Honourable Hatton. The Honourable Hatton.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson, Honourable Minister, Deputy Minister. The Department of Home Affairs' vision of a safe, secure South Africa where all of its people are proud of and value their identity and citizenship appears in most of the department's documentation and even on its website. All indications are there that, in general, the department really strives to live up to its mission to efficiently determine and safeguard the identity and status of our citizens and of immigration. Home Affairs has during the past few years transformed itself into a structure that is, and I would like to quote the Minister, a modern, digital, secure custodian of national identity, responding to the present and future needs and circumstances, and run by professionals operating in a highly secure environment to protect the precious records of the lives of our people. Now, saying that, it's clear that the anticipation of the Honourable Chairperson of the committee was wrong, as she is many times wrong. And I think it would be very narrow-minded of a chairperson to pursue her obsession with the DA at this forum without any factual basis. Now, Honourable Chairperson, unfortunately, the considerable gains made by Department of Home Affairs from time to time gets tainted by incidents such as what happened in the recent past. The special treatment dished out for the Gupta clan at Waterkloof and the department's involvement. The al-Bashir escape from South Africa, the criminal escape from South African soil, also involved Waterkloof Air Force Base and also involved officials. And even now, the recent alleged smuggling of a Burundian woman, Michelle Vega, with a false passport into South Africa on a South African Air Force aircraft via Addis Ababa, implicating the Minister of Defence in this case. It is further alleged that the Burundian woman was detained at the Kinshasa International Airport, being in possession of fraudulent documents issued by a certain Mrs. Mapisa, the sister of the minister working at the Burundi embassy at the time. Now, Honourable Chairperson, these allegations is damaging to the department and must be investigated. And the question arises, how does the department respond to allegations such as these? What are the consequences for these alleged transgressions? Are these to look at the debacle that the IEC, under the oversight of this minister and this department, has maneuvered itself into, the corner that it has painted itself into. The IEC, with a proud history of independence, has tainted its image, and it will take a lot to change it around. We should never forget where this expose of the IEC failure originated. Let me remind you, Honourable Chair, in the Tlokwe municipality, some ANC councillors voted against a allegations of a corrupt and fraudulent executive mayor, and for doing that, they were expelled out of the ANC and out of council. And that resulted in by-elections. And that's where the trouble for the IEC started. The trouble started after the 2013 Clockway by-elections.
Don't drown
Now,
the
the
speaker.
failure of the IEC to fully comply with Section 13 of the Electoral Act allowed unscrupulous people, I won't say ANC, to exploit this failure and to register hundreds of voters illegally on the voters' roll. And they were subsequently buzzed in and allowed to vote in this highly contested by-elections. Now, this could not have happened without the involvement of IEC officials, and the IEC must be complimented for the swift disciplinary action taken after the abuse was exposed. Now, this is where the horror story really starts. This led to a number of court cases, 3 in the Electoral Court, and eventually 2 appeal cases in the Constitutional Court. And every time the IEC was represented by a team of very senior advocates at cost of millions of rand, and of the taxpayer. And they were fighting independent candidates who were fighting only for their right to a free and fair election, which was taken away from them by ANC people who buzzed in, illegally registered people and buzzed in voters. Now, the IEC in the Constitutional Court on Friday filed a paper, an affidavit, in which the IEC finally conceded that it failed to understand its role in safeguarding our voters' roll, its base documents, and therefore the quality of the roll. They finally, after fighting all the way, on Friday, 4 days ago, they said, we are guilty, I'm sorry, after spending millions. In an affidavit of Mosotho Moepa, the Chief Electoral Officer of the Electoral Commission, submitted to the Constitutional Court on Friday, public document, he conceded, and I quote, the IEC accepts that it may have understood the purposes of Section 16(3) of the Electoral Act and misconstrued the nature of the duty imposed. This is very soft. They may have done it over a period of more than 12.5 years. And I quote again, the IEC did not understand Section 16(3) to create a positive duty to obtain and record addresses of all voters for any other purpose, including third-party verification of voter registration for local government elections. Thirdly, quote again, the IEC accepts that it may have erred in this regard and that as a result, it may have failed to comply with the requirements of Section 18(3). Now here's it. After all the millions, the IEC sincerely regrets and apologizes for any such failure and is fully committed to meeting its legal obligations and to improving its processes and to ensure that it does so. After all these court cases, millions being spent, the IEC come and say, South Africa, we are sorry. We've messed up the credibility of the IEC, we've messed up elections, we've had by-elections postponed, and we are very sorry. What a disgrace. The reality is that the IEC was in default since the promulgation of the Act on 17th December 2003, a period of more than 12 years, and never even attempted to ensure that the voters' roll comply with the legal requirements. The failure of the IEC did not only for over a period of more than 2.5 years destabilize the Clockway Council, eventually stopped all by-elections in South Africa, but also brought the legitimacy of the voters' roll and therefore the IEC and the election into question. The IEC stated in court papers that it will need more than 4 years to be in compliance with the legal obligations. The IEC now needs support, including financial support.
Honourable Hutton, your time has expired, sir.
Hey, that's quick. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. The time has expired, ma'am. The Honourable Mokhosi. Order.
Ke a leboga, Chairperson. Ke Ke dumedise Afrika Borwa, di province ka bophara tse robongwe. The EFF rejects budget vote of the Department of Home Affairs with a budget allocation of 7.1 billion for the current financial year, an 8.5 decrease from what the department was allocated last year. It is going to be so difficult to realize the objectives the department is mandated to do. This points to fundamental problems about the department's strategic orientation. It is difficult to understand that while the department faces serious internal lack of capacity, to such an extent that it now requires the services of banks to help issue identification documents, they would now see it proper to reduce funding allocation to services directly needed by our citizens. There is also no indication of how much would be partial outsourcing of the issuing of ID documents to banks cost in relation to how much this service costs when done by Home Affairs officials. Every day we hear of stories of bank fraud and banks spending customers from pillar to post. What system and security is in place to ensure that such will not happen with such important information our people have trusted the government with? The department must build internal capacity to ensure that it does not outsource its core mandate and use the resources allocated to deliver service efficiently. The department also has no plan in place to assist the IEC deal with its problems relating to voter registration after the Electoral Court ruled that the voter's roll must have addresses reflected. This may have serious ramifications for this year's local government elections and future elections. There is no budget allocation in anticipation of what may happen should the Constitutional Court confirm the ruling of the Electoral Court. The ANC has proved that they are so desperate to retain municipalities, they are willing to do anything, including doing away with the independence and credibility of the IEC. As the
Honorable
EFF,
Mkhosi, I have a member, please take your seat. Honorable Wana.
Thank you, Chairperson. Through you, Chairperson, the Speaker can take a question.
Honorable Mkhosi, do you wish to take a question?
ke a kurumane ka mošo go ntsha le morago. Ke a leboga, Chairperson.
She is not prepared, ma'am. Please proceed, ma'am.
We will not allow what happened in 2014 national elections in Polokwane, Alexandra, and other areas where all of a sudden voting became a difficult task just because ANC numbers were not increasing. We have prepared and trained our ground forces. The EFF will deploy party agents in every voting station across the country to stay vigilant and monitor any irregularities. The EFF will not allow for our much cherished democracy to be threatened by ANC greed and thirst for power to give their family and friends tenders while our people do not have water, electricity, sanitation, and basic services. We call on the IEC to deliver credible, fair, and peaceful 2016 local government elections. We would like to remind the Minister that any additional income not declared would be considered income earned from corrupt and irregular activities. Irregular and wasteful expenditure continue to be a problem persisting without solution in sight. We are of the view that we can dramatically reduce costs apportioned to immigration services if the country can take an ideological position that citizens from the SADC region and progressively from the entire continent do not have to have visas to enter the country. This will stimulate regional and continental integration with vast benefits for our economy and the desired cultural integration of the African continent. Such is not a surprise to us because the minister who declared no business interest or additional income display lavish lifestyle and go around giving girlfriends $500,000 to cover up extramarital affairs. As the EFF, we do not support this budget vote.
Honorable Mkhosi, please take your seat. Honorable Mhai.
Chairperson, thank you very much. Is it parliamentary for honorable member to make unfounded allegations about the minister?
I'm going to allow that as a point of debate. The matter the member is referring to in the papers. I think that it will be a debate. The minister has an opportunity to rebut. Honorable Mukhosi, you asked order. You are stating as a matter of fact that the minister gave a girlfriend money. You could rephrase that and actually state an allegation as you read it in the paper. Please continue.
I want to tell South Africans not to forget the slain in Marikana, that the ANC government killed workers. Those workers were fathers, they were husbands, they were brothers, they were breadwinners. People must not forget the people who were killed by the ANC government in Marikana. May their peaceful souls rest in peace. Amandla.
Thank you, ma'am. The Honorable Nyambi.
Honorable Chair, Honorable Minister, ave bengisekhaya enkomazi bengidawusho ukuthi bathi ayihlabi ngakumisa. Lokho kusho ukuthi Honorable Minister and Deputy, don't be worried. We have been trying for the past weeks to explain that it will be very strange for dogs to park a car that is not moving. It's only the one that is moving. Honorable Chairperson, the ANC support the Home Affairs budget vote because it narrates the journey of effectiveness of our decisive national efforts to transform South Africa and change the lives of our people. At the 53rd National Conference of the ANC, which was held in Mangaung in December 2012, we committed ourselves to positioning of Home Affairs to be the backbone of security, service delivery, and developmental state. We said this because we are aware that under the apartheid regime, the main objective of the Department of Home Affairs was to control our people and deny them their citizenship, identity, dignity, and freedom of movement, among other injustices, were meted against them. Our commitment to transform the Department of Home Affairs was also informed by our national duty to live our society and to deliver quality services in a more innovative and people-centered manner that is not only convenient, but also dignified. Today we can say with utmost pride and humility that we have transformed this department. Today our people have Department of Home Affairs that plays a critical role in providing them with pertinent documents to access their basic rights and social services. We have moved with utmost speed to ensure that this department becomes the backbone of the developmental state that we seek to build. We have ensured that this department remains central to our national efforts to strengthen national security and provide our people with services that the Constitution entitles them. Honorable Chairperson, we want to take this opportunity to congratulate the Minister and the Deputy and the staff and their predecessors for the strides and tireless efforts to make this department the flagship of our national efforts to transform South Africa, and that it continues to innovatively execute its important mandate. It is through your decisive and vigilant leadership that today we have a department that continues to play a crucial role, Minister, in enabling all South Africans to proudly claim their citizenship with utmost dignity and great sense of pride, including those that are even insulting you. Honorable Chairperson, in many of the stories narrated by the people that we meet through the program of taking to Parliament to the people, I'm reminded of Mrs. Abrams from Oudsthoorn in the Western Cape, who joined the queue of people to convey her profound appreciation of the work of the department. The story of Ms. Abrahams is not only isolated, and indeed remains one of many good stories that our people tell the work that our government has done to transform this department. We are indeed proud of our tireless effort, Honorable Minister, to reimagining Home Affairs as a modern, digital, secure custodian of national identity responding to the present and future needs and circumstances, and run by professionals operating in a highly secure environment to protect the precious records of the lives of our people. After the demise of apartheid regime, we committed ourselves to creating national identity database that enables our government to assist us achieve the goals of society we envisage as we took the fight against apartheid. In our document, Ready to Govern, we said we need to build a comprehensive, accurate, and secure population register that will enable our government to have an accurate picture of our national profile. Indeed, our government has moved with decisiveness to put all systems to ensure that birth and death and any other changes are recorded. We have moved with utmost speed and greater agency to ensure that we register babies immediately after their birth. Our registration of babies ensure that the birth registration becomes part of national consciousness and civic responsibility of all South Africans. Honorable Chairperson, the Department of Home Affairs is responsible for determining and recording the identity and status of all people living in South Africa and issuing of all documents to affirm. This is done under two broad categories, that is civic service and immigration services. I want to indicate, Honorable Chairperson, that what will assist members of this parliament when they have the opportunity to come to this podium is to understand that a lot of work is happening at committee work. We'll always emphasize that. The last time I was in this podium, I reminded members that it was once said, it is better sometimes to keep quiet on a subject that you have little knowledge about and be thought a fool than to open your mouth and leave no doubt. We want to take this opportunity to congratulate you, Minister, for ensuring that the department continues with the modernization program, which is aimed at replacing outdated system. We are proud of the progress that the department is making to modernize and digitize Home Affairs in order to transfer the inconvenience of service delivery away from clients toward ourselves. We want to congratulate the department for exceeding the targets of producing more than 2.2 million smart cards issued last year by issuing over 4.1 million smart cards to date. We know that your department is up to the task to work tirelessly to replace the 38 million ID books with smart ID documents. As the ANC, we are aware that this program will deal a serious blow to corruption and fraud by reducing human intervention in the processes and system. Honorable Chairperson, ngivumele ngimtshele mphathi litiko ukuthi lena ekhaya ngibuya khona eNkomazi bathi bangakujabulela ukuthi uma senda lo msebenzi sivakashela litiko lakhe sithole ukuthi labantu labalena ekhaya bayakujabulela ngendlela litiko le-Home Affairs lisebenta ngalo. Kepha ngoba thina lesitholakala emngceleni lofana nabo Mozambique neSwaziland asifani nebantu labahlala phakathi eNingizimu Afrika. So tinselela kithi dingudlwana Minister. Kubalulekile ukuthi uma ngabe ku deploya staff kungabi kufaniswa nebantu labaphakathi eNingizimu Afrika ngoba lama challenges abamakhulu. We want to thank the arrangement that we have seen of late when we visit Home Affairs, when we see people that will assist you when we get in to ask what you want in their office, because it will just direct you to the relevant queue instead of wasting time. And that is an indication ukuthi kuyaqhutshwa kuleya department. Before I can conclude, I want to assure you, Honorable Minister, and the committed staff in South Africa, if you see social department standing here and indicating the number of people that are getting their services, it's because the department has been able to produce the correct document. If you see a funeral every weekend, it's because of the tireless effort of the staff of this department. if you see somebody getting to South Africa legally, it's because of the commitment of the staff of this department. I'm looking forward to the day when we'll come here and be able to give credit where it's due. Today's debate was not about you, Minister, it's about your budget. So stay focused, stick to what you are presenting. Don't be sidetracked by other people that are raising issues that are irrelevant. It's because they can't raise anything about the budget. We support the budget as the ANC. I thank you.
Thank you, sir. The Honorable Kaula.
Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Minister, Deputy Minister, colleagues, in the 2016 State of the Nation address, the State President talked about streamlining and sharpening state-owned enterprises and also expressed the need to rationalize SOEs in order to be in line with the government's cost-cutting measures initiatives. The Department of Home Affairs is in the process of establishing a border management agency, another SOE, in order to ensure that South Africa's borders are effectively defended, protected, secured, and well managed. When asked, the department responded that staff currently employed by the department in the entry points will be handed over to the new border management agency. The question is, if management of our borders under the direct management of the department is perceived as not being properly effective, what will make it more effective when the same staff is handed over to the new border management agency? This seems like an admission of failure by the department to say the same staff, when managed by somebody else, will do a better job than what they were doing under the department itself. The department previously admitted that South Africa has more than 200 unofficial entry points. That is where the biggest challenge in respect of managing the inflow and outflow of foreign nationals is. For as long as this challenge remains unattended to, the effective control of who is in South Africa legally or illegally remains a concern. Amongst the priorities of the department is the modernization and automation program of the documents. Whilst welcoming this move, and I want to agree with my brother, Honorable Nyambi, one wishes to express a disappointment in the case where this is unnecessarily disadvantaging the people of the rural areas. Sometimes offices get offline and people are told to come back some other time. This to the disregard of travel expenses for communities who come from far, usually the rural communities, as offices of the department are located in towns and cities. Amongst its entities, the department is also responsible for the Independent Electoral Commission. The IFP, Honorable Minister, has repeatedly voiced a concern in the past about the utilization of SADTU members as IEC officials. SADTU is in an alliance with COSATU, is an affiliate of COSATU. COSATU is in alliance with the African National Congress. This then leaves the fairness and free aspect of our elections very questionable. It is as good as saying the ANC alliance is running the elections of our country. The IFP has also repeatedly appealed to the IEC to also monitor the integrity of the fairness of our campaigns in the country. The incumbents in government offices should not be allowed to utilize government resources to campaign for their respective political parties. I am glad that there is already a ruling by the public protector in this regard. If the IEC does not monitor the unfair spending of state money in campaign programs by certain parties, our elections do not remain as free and as fair as they are said to be. The IFP wishes to point out that South Africans should not be denied the right to vote on the voting day because of a shortcoming by the IEC in respect of the addresses. Indeed, care should be taken that all voters registered in a ward or voting station are people who reside in that ward. But it would have been impossible to get physical addresses for all those millions of rural people within that short time frame that was allocated. The means of verifying the authenticity of the information should be designed instead of denying the people the right to vote. I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, sir. The Deputy Minister, Home Affairs, the Honorable Chauhan.
Afternoon, Chairperson, honourable members. Let me begin by just responding to the Honourable Kaula. The simple answer to your question, Honourable Member, related to the BMA is simply this. At the moment, what we have is several departments who are deployed at our borderline and at our ports of entry. The BMA takes away the silo mentality. You have one line of command, and this is what is currently lacking at our ports of entry and at our border management, at our border lines. Chairperson, you know, the Honourable Kaula said that dogs don't bark at cars that don't move. Well, I can assure you that we will be moving ever
Deputy Minister,
faster.
that was Honorable Nyambi.
Oh, was it Honorable Nyami? Sorry. Honorable Nyami said so. Forgive me. Honorable Nyami said this, and I want to say that we will be moving so fast that the dogs won't just bark, they will howl. In 2 years, Honorable Chairperson, this department will be unrecognizable. Our minister has, you know, he's not just a pretty face, and by the way, he dresses well because he has oodles of self-respect. He comes to this parliament dressed like a minister because he has been schooled and taught self-respect. We are a government of 20 years, Honourable Chairperson. We have garnered a lot of experience, and that experience is being brought to bear in this department. This Director General is one of the most experienced public servants in the country. And it shows because he leads a team of consummate professionals whose ethic is public service of the highest degree. And Chairperson, I want to take this moment to commend each and every one of our officials who are here today and those who are at their desks. I really think that when members look at the department with unbiased eyes, they will be hard-pressed not to recognize the dedication with which our officials have led this transformation process. In my capacity as the Deputy Minister, I have been given the Motapile initiative, and Minister did mention that I will speak to it. We have a team called the Motapile team, whose task is to transform our front offices to improve the front office experience. We are not just satisfied with being better than we were previously. We are looking to the future ever more, and we will not just be better, we will become the best department in government. And this is where we have set our sights. The Motapile initiative rests on 7 key interventions. Firstly, our team goes out to the offices, looks at location, layout, maintenance, and cleanliness. Again, we come down to self-respect. We want to instill this value to every single official in our department. A clean area speaks to this idea of self-respect that we want to convey. And in this regard, we want to suggest that when our MPs go out to our offices, that they give us some feedback on the look and feel of our offices, particularly this issue of cleanliness, because we believe that Motapile is not just about the officials who transact with our clients, but from the cleaners to the manager in our office as part of our process. Secondly, client information and signage. One of the things, of course, is to get rid of old signs and to install new ones. But what we are doing with this Motapile project is that we are teaching our managers particularly to walk the queues, to inform our clients about the service levels on that day, what they can expect, and also ensure that they are told that if you have any issues, here I am the manager. Client flow is a very, very big issue at the moment, what with the 50 million South Africans who need their smart ID cards. We have been inundated with South Africans standing in our queues, etc. And so we want to make that as pleasant as possible an experience so that they can see that at least, even if they're in queues, these queues are moving forward. Our business processes, our management process, our administration processes have all been digitized so that managers can effectively use digital tools to assess at any point the readiness of all of their assets, their computers, etc. We encourage our officials to think beyond the counters. You know, very often our officials come to work in the back door, but they've never entered their offices through the front doors where most of the clients come, and they don't have this perspective. We ask them to think beyond counters. We ask them to leverage on the community of experts within the offices. We teach them to share helpful resources and information, etc. So these 7 pillars are now going to be taken, and we now have tackled our most significant challenge to date. We've now got 36 offices that are Motapile compliant. We are now going to Marabastad, the refugee reception center there, and applying a standard for refugee reception centers. Already, Chairperson, I can tell you, having visited the office less than a week ago, the crowds that people used to see outside are no longer there. And I do hope that when we come back to Parliament after this recess, that members of the NCOP will pay us a visit at Marabastad, and hopefully you'll be very pleased by what you see. Finally, let me say that we also have the coal-face deployments of our senior managers who have to go to the front offices at least 5 days a week, serve clients, manage queues, and face all of the difficulties that our front office managers do so that they have first-hand experience when they make policy decisions at headquarters. They know exactly what is being experienced at our front offices. I take it my time has expired, Chairperson, so thank you very much for your attention.
The Honorable Zwane.
Thank you, Chairperson of Council, Honorable Minister and the Deputy Minister, honorable members and guests. Mhlambe before umntaqala ukukhuluma ngale ngxoxo esihlangene ngayo, akakachazela abantu lapha emakhaya ukuthi mangabe kukhona iqembu eliphikisayo njenge-EFF elithi lona liyaphikisana nalolu hlahlomali, lisho ukuthini? Uma uthi uyaphikisana nalolu hlahlomali usho ukuthi okokuqala nje abantu abangawathola ama-ID ngiwaphela i-Department of Home Affairs kufuneka isebenzise ibudget ukuze ikhiphe ama-ID. Usho ukuthi abantu abangakwazi ukuqasheka ngoba banawo ama-ID. Usho ukuthi izingane azingakwazi ukuthola ama-birth certificates ngoba abazali abanayo ama-ID. Usho ukuthi abantu abangakwazi ukuvula ama-bank account ngoba bengenawo ama-ID. Usho ukuthi abangakwazi ukuthola itifiketi zomshado ngoba phela abanawo ama-ID. Usho ukuthi abantu abangakwazi ukuyovota ngoba phela abanawo ama-ID. Usho ukuthi uhulumeni akangakhiwa ngoba abantu abanawo ama-ID. That is what the EFS is actually saying when they say they don't support the budget.
Honorable Zwane, please take a seat. Honorable Mkhosi, is that a point of order?
Yeah.
What is the point of order?
Point of order ke gore mme ska bua le nna nka ka menona kana bua ka EFF a ska nka ka menona a bue through you. And sa bobedi a re botsa ska re buelela gore rona EFF ke nga re sa support di budget votes tse. A ska re bonaganela gore lebaka la rona ke eng? A re botse ke tla mo tlhalosetsa le gona no. Thank you ma.
Honorable Mkhosi, you take liberty in this house to speak your thoughts, your ideas, and interpret what other parties say. they accept it. The same liberty that you take about all other parties is the liberty they take about the EFF. So you are out of order. Honorable Zwane.
Thank you, Chairperson. Honorable Minister, I do want to encourage you and your department to go on doing the good work that you are doing. This is one department where we've got many good stories to tell. During the SONA address by the President, he raised an issue where he said that private business has got concerns about the fact that it's becoming difficult to import scarce skills from other countries because of the delay in issuing the visas. And your department has acted on that. You were here at the podium. You actually told the House that you've increased the number of visas that you are able to produce because you have formed partnerships with visa facilitation services globally, and we have actually jacked up the systems whereby you are able to increase issuing the visa, particularly of those people that are bringing into the country rescue. The second issue that I wanted to talk on is the issue of local government election. In line with our constitution, South Africa will this year hold its 4th democratic local government elections, in which the electorate will choose their local leaders. These elections are important, as local government is a critical sphere of government responsible for delivering services which have got to do with the basic human rights. The IEC has played a pivotal role in ensuring that people get registered to be able to actively participate in local government election. During the voter registration weekends of March and April, we want to congratulate the IEC for having done a sterling job. 80% of people that were registered as first-time voters, 80% of them are youth under the age of 30. It means there is a future in South Africa. That is a very good story to tell. The other issue that I wanted to touch on is that we understand that the budget that has been given to the department is not enough, given the fiscal constraints that are not only local but are also global. But we are strengthened by the fact that you are undertaking that regardless the shortage of the budget or insufficient fiscals, you are still going to continue to render quality service for our citizens. Civic registration is a core mandate of the Department of Home Affairs. This was not the case under the apartheid regime. Under that regime, the identity systems were fragmented between 11 different racial and ethnic departments, and only beds for persons classified as whites, coloreds, and Indians were systematically recorded. Whites received a level of service comparable with more advanced economies, while Black South Africans, who were in the majority, were effectively denied citizenship and were subjected to colonial legislation and administration. Our democratically elected government in 1994 had to confront the challenge of realigning the machinery of the state with fundamentally different policy imperatives. It is only the ANC that, after 1994, brought hope to the people, and they recognized that people are people irrespective of their racial groupings. And as Blacks, we got an opportunity also to be recognized as citizens of this country. What is important also in this regard is that given the fact that people had been denied an opportunity to get registered properly during the apartheid regime, the ANC-led government saw it necessary that an opportunity is given to the people to register to do the registration, the late registration of birth, even if it's in the late ages of their lives. I want to refer to practical cases that have actually benefited from this system.
of late registration of birth so that people are able to get their IDs. Umama uMangcwangula lapha eHibiscus Coast ePort Shepstone ohlala kwa Ward 16 eNtwentweni uthole iID esefike esikhathini sokumpeshela kade esebenzela amelungu all these years exploitwa engenayo ID kwaze kwazoba imanje kwathi ngenxa ukuthi ANC ivule ithuba lokuthi abantu abaregister noma kulethu babakwazi ukuthola ama ID wahamba uMangcwangula wayiregister uAfrican National Congress wathola iID wakwazi ukuthola impesheni after being exploited for so many years. The same goes to Ubabungwazi again in the same ward 16 eHibiscus Coast naye ubengenayo iID ngoba engazange akwazi ukuba aregistereke njengomhlali la ngaphakathi kwezwe naye Khongolose ngoba ukhathalela abantu wahamba umregister kwama-affairs wathola iID namhlanje Ubabungwazi lapha kwa 16 uma ngabe uyangizwa nje ngiyacabanga ukuthi uyasina manje usiyakwazi ukuthi athole impesheni yakhe ngosizo alitholile. It is worth noting that on the 7th of April 2016 the Department of Home Affairs recently launched the e-Home Affairs portal. This was to allow South Africans to start applying for smart ID cards and passports online. This new online system provides for citizens to apply for documents from the comfort of their own homes or offices. In this regard, people apply and pay online and go to their selected bank to have their fingerprints verified and photos taken. We trust that the Home Affairs Initiative, or this Home Affairs Initiative, will assist greatly to reduce queues in front of offices while accelerating the replacement of green bar-coded IDs with the smart cards. Another milestone that is laudable in this regard has been the Memorandum of Understanding between the Department of Home Affairs that has been concluded with the banks like the Absa Bank, First National Bank, Nedbank, and the Standard Bank. To date, this partnership has rolled out the online system to 11 bank branches. Since the inception of the e-Home Affairs on the 7th of April, 4,088 citizens have registered through the portal, of which 140 online applications have been successfully concluded across the 4 banks. The Select Committee on Social Services will continue to give guidance and support all the initiatives of this department where their priorities as spelled out in their APPs are going to be followed up in terms of whether the targets are achieved. We want to say that we as the Select Committee support this budget, and we are going to stay focused on ensuring that we support the department and we conduct our oversight responsibilities in terms of the Constitution. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, ma'am. The Honorable Mpambo Sibukwana.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, Metandi Modise. Honorable Chairperson, a person's identity is crucial, and thus the registration thereof is of equal importance. Similarly, every South African has the right to freedom of movement, and thus the issue of passport and visas then play a big role in South African lives. Due to this significance, Honorable Chairperson, the Department of Home Affairs should be one of the most efficient departments as it deals directly with the identity of a South African citizen. The DA welcomes the department's launching of e-channel pilot project, set to provide the alternative platform for persons wishing to apply for IDMI, smart cards, and passports online, as well as the partnership with major banks. We will be monitoring this implementation thereof. However, we are concerned with whether department officials are issuing fraudulent birth certificates Earlier this year, Honorable Chairperson, Home Affairs official was arrested for allegedly issuing 400 fraudulent birth certificates. This is unacceptable. Firstly, South Africans have a basic right to an identity document or smart card so that they are able to utilize various government services. Honorable Chairperson and Honorable Minister, how many fraudulent birth certificate, passports, and visas have been issued since June 2015 up to date? Further, Chairperson, identity theft is a big issue for many South Africans, and it's reported that it is costing the South African economy 2 billion annually. What plans does the minister have to curb identity theft? In March, it was reported that that there will be 123 cases of fraud and corruption against department officials of Home Affairs, which have been finalized for disciplinary hearings since July last year. Further, it was reported that 7 officials and foreign nationals have been arrested. The minister must explain this to this House, and minister has not said anything in this regard. With the visa regulation saga, Honorable Chairperson, South Africa must follow examples set by the countries with e-visa systems, where they have proven to increase border security while decreasing visa turnaround time. This is what is required to unlock the full potential of tourist market, as this creates some opportunities for employment for South Africans, instead of losing millions of rands in the tourism industry and putting millions more jobs at risk. Furthermore, Honorable Minister, could you please furnish this House with details as how much the department has lost due to corruption from June 2015 to date? It is so concerning, Honorable Chairperson, that in this day and time, with all the unemployment that rises from time to time, the minister says nothing about how the visa regulations are affecting the tourist industry, which in turn would benefit and give opportunities for those who are unemployed in South Africa and lessen the crime rate that escalates day by day because people are unemployed. I thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. The Honorable Stock.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Minister, Honorable Deputy Minister, Honorable members of the NCOP, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, let me take this opportunity to indicate that as the ANC, we support this budget vote 5 of the Department of Home Affairs. And then secondly, I think it's important also to indicate that as a select committee, as part of our oversight responsibility, we had an oversight to Lindela Repatriation Center, one of the centers in Gauteng. And then one of the issues that we also picked up there, Honorable Minister, is the fact that all those people, or our brothers and sisters that are kept in the center, we had an opportunity to address more than 2,000 of them when we were there. And we also had an opportunity also to go around the center and see about some of the conditions that they live in. But one of the issues that came up very strong in the center, it was the issue of the small clinic on site, which I think the Honorable Minister must actually take into consideration that issue. The ANC, as the biggest liberation movement in Africa, which has over the past 104 years had so many conferences, remains the beacon of hope for our people, the poorest of the poor, and is the only political party which can change the lives of our people on the ground. There's no other political party which can change the lives of ordinary people. I hear honorable members come here with their different party color codes and present their story. But there's only one party in terms of my own view, which has got a track record, which has got so many years, which has been there to liberate our people. Now, we are 22 years into democracy. Our democracy is still very new. We're only 22 years. Now, if you look at honorable members, the apartheid regime had more than 300 years, which our people were exposed to serious brutality of the apartheid regime and all sorts of torture and all of that. So honorable members, they must be mindful of that reality when they come to the podium, that this ANC is the only party which stands for what it represents to the people. Honorable Minister, I'm also sharing your view that you are looking forward, your vision for the department to digitize the Department of Home Affairs. We're also experiencing that when we go to Home Affairs, there's no long queues, the attitude of the staff, even if it's not all of the staff, that their attitude has changed. There's a lot of improvement, and the long queues also, and then the delay in the issuing of ID cards has actually been taken into consideration. In terms of the border management agency, which was approved by cabinet, which the honorable minister reflected to, I'm also happy about it because this border management agency will actually deal with all sorts of corruption and all sorts of funny things that are taking place at the level of our borderlines throughout the country. Whether you are at Beit Bridge or whether you are at Lesotho and all of that. It will also deal with such elements. And it will also create uniformity in terms of the different staff members that works at that border, at the different border posts and all of that. Now, honorable members, let me take this opportunity also to clarify a few sound bites which were made by the honorable members here, which I think they are very misleading and they cannot just be allowed to fly without being corrected. Honorable member of the DA, Honorable Harting, I think what you did here today, you played into the gallery. I was almost under the impression that we were in some form of a DA meeting where you were presenting to us about the elections. This is not an opportunity for you to come and play party politicking or electioneering. We're busy with serious issues here of the budget vote 5 of...
The speaker is protected.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. The horror story that Honorable Harting refers to, you came here, you told us about the horror story. Now, I can't even imagine of a horror story about this department because there are so many good things that they are doing as a department. Now, that horror story that you are talking about, it might be an imagination in your own figment of imagination. It might be the only thing. And then secondly also, you were played into the gallery, you come here, you criticize this and that, you speak a lot about the DA, and you also speak about the matter which is also under sub judice, the matter of the electoral court, the Concord, around the issue of the clock by elections. Now, that matter, when you brought it here, I thought because you spoke many things about elections, you were going to also give us some solutions from you as the DA about what you are going to do when you are in government. Because one issue that you failed to tell us when you were at the podium here, you failed to tell us that our people here in the Western Cape, this is where our people are being called refugees. They are being labeled as refugees when they come here for better opportunities. They are called refugees. And here in the Western Cape, is where service delivery is being delivered on the basis of your skin color. So those things are not being told here. And we need to clarify some of those things. Honorable Mokosi, there's one issue. The other day I had an engagement with one of my close friends, and then he spoke to me about the two dimensions between education and ignorance. Now, when the honorable member came here, that story struck my mind again. I almost thought that you were only under the impression that education is more expensive than knowledge or common sense or ignorance, Now you came to the podium here, and every time we keep on making the point to you that the work of parliament does not start here. That's the first thing. And then secondly, we keep on making the point that the issue of respect is two-pronged. You must respect us as your elders, and then we must also respect you. But when you continue to insult us, you are not going to learn anything out of that, And the fact that you are ignorant.
Honorable Stock, please take your seat. Honorable Mtileni, it's a point of order.
Honorable Chairperson, I see a situation where you allow Honorable Stock to communicate directly to the honorable member there. I just want to check.
Is that a point of order? Is that a point of order?
Direct talk in between the two.
Okay. I will rule on that matter.
No, thank you.
Order. Honorable Mtileni, you are right. Honorable Stock, speak through me. However, I have also allowed a number of members on that podium to do exactly what has been happening. So, Honorable Stock, the right thing is to talk through the chair, but members also have been doing it. Continue, Honorable Stock.
No, thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Through you, Honorable Mokotsi, we cannot be held responsible for your ignorance. You must also, at some point, tell the truth where it's due. You cannot come to the podium and tell us about things that in your mind you just want to reject or you want to turn a blind eye on. It's not our responsibility. You must also make it your responsibility to tell the truth where it's due. And then our responsibility as honorable members of this House is also to expose the lies where they are told. And
Honorable Stock, Honorable Mukhosi, you are on your feet.
In fact, Honorable Stock is making very serious accusations. Gore ke nyaditse batho. Ke kopa gore Honorable Stock a mpolelle gore ke mo nyaditse mo kae.
Order. Honorable members, we're not going to be responding to question and answer sessions. Honorable Stock, please continue with your speech.
No, thank you very much, Honorable Chair. The last thing to you, Honorable Mokhosi, is that your rejectionist approach is actually not assisting us, because every time you come here, you reject everything. And then you keep on telling us that one day when you are in government, this is what you'll be doing and so on. And then that dream of yours will never happen under our lifetime.
Honorable Stock, please take a seat. Honorable Faber. Order, there is a member on his feet. Honorable Faber.
Honorable Chair, I would just like to know if Honorable Stock could take a question from a member of the Northern Cape.
Honorable Stock, will you take a question from a member of the Northern Cape?
Can I take that question, Honorable Chair? Thank you. Let me take the question.
Thank you, Chair.
Please proceed, Honorable Faber.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, we heard Honorable Stock said that people are coming to the Western Cape province because he has opportunities. I want to ask, does he say that the ANC provinces don't have opportunities?
Thank you, sir. Honorable Stock?
The point that I was making earlier on, Honorable Faber, is that I wanted to make a distinction that, you know, members of the DA, they come to the podium, they speak too much about the Western Cape. And then that creates an impression as if the Western Cape is South Africa. It's not South Africa. So everywhere where we find our people, whether it's in Northwest, whether it's Northern Cape and all of that, if they happen to come to the Western Cape for maybe an employment or something else, they are being labeled as refugees. And then those opportunities, they are not being given to them because the DA only allocates those opportunities on the basis of race. That's what I was saying. And I hope that covers your...
Honorable Faber, you posed a question, you were responded to. I'm not going to have a dialogue. Honorable Stock, please continue.
Honorable Mpambu Sibokwana, if you feel that the minister did not respond to some of the issues which you were anticipating, I think as a member of parliament also, you've got the responsibility to pose the question to the minister, maybe for oral reply. So don't come here and politic about such petty issues. Honorable Chair, in conclusion, let me take this opportunity.
Order, members.
As the ANC, we support this budget vote 5 of the department. I thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. The Honorable, the Minister, Home Affairs.
Thank you, Chairperson and
Order,
honorable
members.
members. I must thank honorable members, some, for a worthwhile policy debate. Take note of the fact that some of the honorable members missed the opportunity to participate in the policy debate and raised issues which had absolutely nothing to do with this debate and the budget we were presenting here today. Honorable Harting, I think, to start with, Honorable Sir, as somebody who is a member of parliament, you do know that the IEC, that the Department of Home Affairs does not exercise oversight over the IEC. Our duty is to transfer the funds. It is parliament that, that exercises oversight over the IEC. But it is unprecedented for an honorable member to attack a Chapter 9 institution, to stand on this platform, viciously attack a Chapter 9 institution, particularly given that we have elections coming. It could also be that the honorable member is making a preemptive strike against the IEC in anticipation of poor performance on the 3rd of August. But the issues that Mr. Harting, Honorable Harting raised here are being dealt with in the Constitutional Court, and I think it was inappropriate of him to raise them here. It is my view that the Honorable Mukhosi's comments about our partnerships with the bank have been very well responded to. It is about expanding our footprint. It is about optimizing the capacity available in the country to be able to provide convenient service to South Africans, and it has nothing to do with any of the things that she made allegation towards. It is true, therefore, what Honorable Stock says, Honorable Chairperson, that we must not be held responsible for an honorable member's ignorance. Now, the issue raised by Honorable Kaula about network consistency in rural areas is an issue of great concern to us too. We are discussing that with both SETA as well as Telkom, because rural areas lack the broadband capacity to be able to have a consistent network supply. And so we hope that through the mobile units, utilizing the facilities of the banks which do have consistent network supply, we would be able to provide better services until the broadband capacity has been enlarged through the infrastructure, the Presidential Infrastructure Development Program. But it is an issue that we also are concerned about. I think the question about the Border Management Agency has also been clarified. It is not because we lack the capacity as Home Affairs, but when we did an evaluation of our performance at the border management at the border environment, the critical issue is the fragmentation of the services being provided there. The Department of Home Affairs, Agriculture, Health, Police, the Army, and so on. And the view was that put all of these functions under one organization, a border management agency, which will then take over the responsibilities of all other departments. In that case, you don't even need to sign a memorandum of understanding or cooperation with these other government departments, because all the functions and the powers will have been transferred to the PMA. But the PMA will have additional capacity to bear weapons for commissioned officers, so that they are able to deal with rhino poachers, to deal with other criminals that are stealing cars, that are trying to jump the fence, either coming to South Africa or exiting the country with stolen property. Now, finally, Honorable Chair, let me say that the department launched Operation Visamasina last year, and more than 50 officials have been arrested up to this point. But let us make this point also very clear. The overwhelming majority of the officials of the Department of Home Affairs are clean, ethical, hard-working people who serve this country with great integrity. I take pride in them. I will identify with them anytime because they do such tremendous service to our nation. We must not paint all of them with the same brush because of the actions of a few people, because they do such excellent work. We also have a partnership with the banks and insurance companies that has ensured that we combat identity theft. We've been able to save over 3.2 billion rand. That is the estimation by the banking and the insurance industry themselves. we have been able to save over 3.2 billion rand as a result of this partnership. And let me say finally, Honorable Chair, that the Department of Home Affairs has a responsibility towards South Africa that exceeds that of other departments such as tourism. For us, our responsibility is not only to ensure that tourists come to South Africa, but it is also to protect South Africa from foreigners that are unwanted in our country. And therefore, our visa regulations sought to achieve that balance between economic development and national security. And we are happy that government has continued to support us wholeheartedly in implementing these visa regulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable members, that concludes the debate and the business of the day. You are requested to remain standing until the procession has left the chamber. This House is adjourned.